past, current, and to predict future geopolitical events. And he joins us now. Professor, great to have you.
Good to see you, sir.
Thanks for inviting me. Yeah, of course. So, for people who aren't familiar with your work, I wanted to show folks that back in 2024, you made 3 big predictions. 1, that Trump would win. 2, that he would start a war with Iran. And 3, that the U.S. would
अब आवाज आ रहा है। थैंक यू फॉर बताने के लिए, मेरे एल लग जाते। God. चलो अब दोबारा रिपीट करता हूँ और मैं अब वीडियो भी ऑन करता हूँ। अब लेग भी नहीं होगा इसमें, देयर विल बी नो लेग। इस ड्यूट ने इस बंदे ने मैं एक चीज बताता हूँ। ओके, इस बंदे ने 8 मंथ पहले बताया था कि ट्रम्प विल विन, ट्रम्प जीत जाएगा। ट्रम्प के जीतने के बाद ट्रम्प ईरान के ऊपर अटैक करेगा और उसके बाद जो वार होगी, जो वार अभी वार ही है, इसको बैटल नहीं बोलेंगे। बैटल होती है वो कुछ दिनों की होती है, वार जो लॉन्ग चलती है, ये थोड़ी लॉन्ग ही चलेगी। तो जो ट्रम्प है वो जीत जाएगा। जीतने के बाद वो अटैक करेगा ईरान के ऊपर। उसके बाद ही विल लूज द वॉर, वो हार जाएगा अपना वॉर। इसने ये प्रिडिक्ट किया था 8 महीने पहले। इस बंदे ने इसने प्रिडिक्ट किया था 8 मंथ पहले कि ये चीजें होंगी, मतलब इस पॉसिबिलिटी इस बट ही वाज राइट। मैं वो तुम्हें वीडियो भी शो कर सकता हूँ जिसमें इसने बोला था 8 मंथ पहले, मतलब उसकी वीडियो अपलोड हुई है 8 मंथ पहले। तो उसमें ये प्रिडिक्ट करता है कि यूएसए विल अटैक द ईरान। एंड चलो इसके ऊपर बात करते हैं। अब ये हमें और ज्यादा मालूम पड़ेगा इसने किया था नहीं किया था। अब ये न्यूज रिपोर्टर है, ये हमें शो करेगी अभी। चलो देखते हैं। और अभी ये आज की वीडियो है, मतलब ये कितने घंटे पुरानी है देखते हैं। 13 आवर्स, मतलब ये इतनी पुरानी नहीं है। तो देखते हैं आज ये क्या बोलता है। और ये भी बताता है कैसे हार जाएगा। हाउ ईरान विल विन द वॉर, क्यों ईरान जीत जाएगा वॉर। ये असल में मेन कारण ये बताता है, जो ईरान है वो है इज अ माउंटेनली, मतलब उसमें ज्यादातर चारों तरफ माउंटेन है। तो मतलब टैंक्स उसमें नहीं आ सकती, तो ज्यादा उसमें माउंटेन्स है। तो जब वो नीचे आएंगे तो वो ऊपर नहीं जा पाएंगे। क्यों? क्योंकि उनका भी ये ड्रोन्स है, ड्रोन्स तो वो अटैक करेंगे। अब मुझे ये बात समझ में नहीं आ रही, ये इंटर कैसे होंगे, हाउ दे विल इंटर द ईरान।
lose that
तो उसके बारे में हम रिसर्च करते हैं, देखते हैं क्या होता है. Where is the quota for? I have
war. Let's take a listen to that.
In this class this semester, I'm making 3 big predictions, right?
ये कर रहा है
First
अभी.
is that Trump will
It's an old
win
video.
in November. Second is that the United States will go to war against Iran. And the third big prediction is that the United States
And he's a
will
professor.
lose this
The war.
war, which
This.
will forever
He said it.
change
It's an old
the
video,
global
right?
order.
So obviously
ये
that
पुरानी
last
video है.
one is the only one that has not yet come to fruition is quite a stunning prediction. You know, do you stand by it, and what have you seen so far that leads you to sort of stand firm in that conclusion?
So, given my analysis of how the war is progressing, I think that Iran has many more advantages over the United States. The reality is that right now, it's a war of attrition between the United States and Iran. And the Iranians have been preparing 20 years for this conflict. In their eschatology, in their religion, this is a war against the great Satan. They've had many practice runs. Last June was a 12-day war when the Iranians were able to examine and analyze the strike capacities of both the Israelis and the Americans. And they've had a lot of time, 8 months, to prepare fully for this new attack. They, through their proxies, the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Shia militias, have been able
और मैं ये बताऊं lighting कैसी है? How is lighting?
really grasp
How is
the American
lighting?
mentality, and
I want
now
to
they have
know.
a pretty good strategy of how to weaken and ultimately destroy the American empire. So what the Iranians are doing is they're waging war against the entire global economy. And so they are striking the GCC countries. And not only are they striking GCC countries, American bases, but they're going after the critical energy infrastructure of these bases. They blocked off the Strait of Hormuz. And eventually, they will go after the water desalination plants, which is the lifeblood of these nations because they don't have fresh water supply. In fact, the water desalination plants provides 60% of the GCC's water supply. So if a drone, and these drones cost $50,000, if they wiped out a
Guys, मैं तुम्हें ये चीज बता दूं, हरमुज कौन सा है, ये प्लेस कौन सी है. तुम ये चीज देख रहे हो, ये हरमुज है, ये हरमुज है. इसमें ज्यादातर पेट्रोल जो भी चीजें होती है यहाँ से शिप होती हैं. जो भी ये अरब्स कंट्री है इनकी, सारे अरब्स कंट्री एक की सारे की सारों की. तो ये ईरान अभी बंद करके बैठा है इस क्लोज राइट नाउ.
desalination plant in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and it's a city of 10 million people, right? They'd be out of water in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks. And right now, the Iranians have de facto closed off the Strait of Hormuz, and the GCC gets 90% of its food from the Strait of Hormuz. So I know a lot of people are talking about the disruptions to the global economy, but right now, the Iranians are actually threatening the very existence of Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, Qatar. And why this is important is that the Gulf states are really the linchpin of the American economy. So what they do is they sell petrodollars, and then they recycle the petrodollars back into the American economy through the investments in the stock market. And right now, we know that the entire American economy is propped up by AI investments in data centers. And a lot of that comes from the Gulf states. So if the Gulf states are no longer able to sell oil, and they're no longer able to finance AI, this AI bubble in the United States, then this AI bubble will burst, and with it will burst as well the entire American economy, which is really a financial Ponzi scheme.
Right.
So that's a dire situation that the Americans are facing right now.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, sir, an Amazon data center was literally hit in the UAE, and now, of course,
और गाइस एक चीज बता दूं, ईरान जो भी अटैक कर रहा है जो भी मतलब जो भी सऊदी के ऊपर या यूएई के ऊपर, कतर के ऊपर, कुवैत के ऊपर, ये सारे कोई भी मतलब रेजिडेंट प्लेसेस नहीं है। मतलब रेजिडेंट ऐसे मतलब जो मेन अटैक हो रहा है ना, वो वहां हो रहा है जहां जैसे मतलब यूएसए के आर्मी मैन बैठे हैं, या कोई ईरान का कोई बंदा बैठा हो, इजराइल का कोई बंदा बैठा हो, ये सारे अटैक हो रहे हैं। तो ये चीजें आपको देखनी चाहिए, और ज्यादातर इनके बेसिस के ऊपर अटैक हो रहा है।
tech companies, which were looking at the UAE as a major
Yeah,
potential
जल्दी खेलेंगे
data center
इसको।
investment hub with
2-3
cheap and
दिन के
abundant
बाद
energy,
खेलेंगे।
probably going to be rethinking that. We also wanted to talk to you about munitions. We can put this next one up here on the screen. The United States is racing to accomplish Iran mission before munitions run out. This is specifically around interceptor math. There's a famous video just from yesterday in Israel, which shows a single Iranian ballistic missile which is being targeted by some 11 different interceptors, all of which miss. Most of those come from the United States, not to mention all of the different bases, the GCC countries that you just talked about, and the asymmetry of the cost. It's $1 million for a missile, tens of millions per interceptor in some of these cases. With these munitions running out, how does that change the global picture? So you're in China, obviously, much of the stocks in Asia of the United States are likely to have to be cannibalized if this were to go on. How's that going to affect the global picture here?
Right. So my first point is that the United States military is
Guys,
not
प्लीज
designed
जो भी
to
सवाल है
fight
वो
a
आप करें
21st
इस
century
वॉर के
war.
ऊपर।
Remember, the
आज
military
कोई भी
industrial complex
रैंडम
came
सवाल
into
नहीं
being
करें।
after World War II and was designed
Don't
to fight
ask
the
the
Cold
random
War.
questions.
And the Cold War was really about muscle flexing,
It's fine.
about who was able to send people
कोई
up
भी
into
सवाल
space,
करना है तो वो
who was
वॉर
the
के
first to get the person on the
करे,
moon,
तो
who had
मैं
the
उसके
more
ऊपर हम बात करें।
complex missile systems. And so the entire American military strategy revolves around very
गाइस सिर्फ हम यूट्यूब के ऊपर 1 घंटा होंगे, 1 घंटे के बाद हम शिफ्ट कर देंगे उसके ऊपर, ट्विच और किक के ऊपर।
sophisticated
या ज्यादा
technology
चीजें नहीं
that
दिखा
costs
सकता
a
मैं,
lot of money to
मुझे
build.
कॉपीराइट लग
And that's
सकता है
what
और
the
कुछ और भी हो सकता है।
American air defense system is basically, and that's why we're seeing this asymmetry, as you point out, in this war, where you have these $1 million missiles trying to take out these $50,000 drones, and it's not sustainable in the long term. And so what we're seeing is really the puncturing of the aura of invincibility and inevitability that sustained American hegemony for the past 20 years, especially after the collapse of the Soviet Union. And this is really a reordering of not just the global economy, because this signals the collapse of the petrodollar, and with it, the entire US dollar-based reserve currency system, but also the global hegemony of the United States. We're moving towards a multipolar world.
Professor, this morning, Secretary
Iran
of War
attack
Pete
with drones,
Hegseth
yeah,
was
और
asked
मिसाइल
questions
के साथ भी।
about potential ground troops in Iran.
असल में ये
He
बहुत cheap
refused
है।
to rule out that
कोई
possibility. And he
$50,000
said,
का बन
well,
जाता
we're
है।
not going to project to you
ईरान बनाती है।
what we will or will
Very,
not
very
do, but
cheap.
we don't want to
जो ईरान
rule
इजराइल के
anything
पास,
out, but
अमेरिका
we'll
के
do
पास
what
चीजें
it
वो
takes.
मिलियन के ऊपर
Do
बनती
you
है।
think that America
They are
will end up
expensive.
invading Iran from the ground, since it's already becoming relatively clear they won't be able to accomplish the goal of regime change or even regime collapse using just air power alone?
Right. So everyone says that the worst.
असल में ज्यादातर जो अमेरिका का गोल है वो है इजराइल, वो रजीम को क्लब करना है, मतलब उसको ऐसे करना है, फिनिश करना है। वो मतलब जो अभी की रजीम चल रही है उसको हमेशा के लिए मतलब फिनिश करना है, मतलब केओस उनको करना है। तो वो हो नहीं रहा, तो उसकी वजह से देयर इज अ चांस दे कैन सेंड देयर ट्रूप्स, or not troops, like a army. They can send their armies.
Calamity that could happen in the
Yeah,
United
it's easy to
States is
say.
if it were to send ground troops
जो वर्ड मैं
into
बोलना चाह रहा था
Iran.
वो
At
मेरे
the same
मुंह से
time,
आ नहीं रहा था।
the United States are committed to regime change in Iran. We've never had a precedent in history where you were able to regime change from the air alone. You need ground troops. And so unfortunately, what's going to happen over the next few months is that pressure will build on America to send ground troops, especially from the GCC countries and from Israel, which are being touted right now by the Iranians. So remember that if the GCC countries, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, Bahrain, if they go, then the petrodollar goes with them.
No idea.
So the Americans need to protect these countries, and these countries are going to demand that either the Americans bribe the Iranians to cease, and this is like $5 trillion in indemnity, okay? Or send ground troops to wipe out the Iranian threat once and for all. And I know that there's no political will for ground troops to be used against Iran among the American people. But remember that 78% of American people was against initial strikes against Iran in the first place.
Right. And one of the things that really comes into question, I think, with all of this, sir, when we're looking at the geopolitical picture and the sacrificing in much of this from the United States on behalf of Israel, is kind of a question as to who and what wanted this. We were actually curious for your view on a disputed report here from the Washington Post. We can put it up here on the screen, F3. A push from the Saudis. Israel helped move Trump to attack Iran. Now, this has been internally disputed by Saudi Arabia, saying that they did not push the Trump administration to attack Iran. However, this is clearly an authorized leak from our own government, trying to at least lay some of the blame on behalf of the GCC. What do you make of this analysis and of this narrative that Saudi Arabia was also trying to be behind this push to bomb Iran?
So I've always argued that both Saudi Arabia and Israel are heavily invested in regime change in Iran. Yeah. In fact, Saudi Arabia sees Iran as much more of an existential crisis than Israel. Because remember, Israel still has nuclear weapons, and Israel is a very diverse, very sophisticated economy, whereas Saudi Arabia is completely reliant on oil. And it's always had problems with Iran because Iran is a theocracy opposed to the Saudi monarchy. Iran funds and equips the Houthis, which have been antagonistic towards Saudi Arabia for the longest time. And right now, the Saudi economy is suffering. It's been trying to pivot towards more of a tourist economy. That's why they brought in Ronaldo. That's why they're switching to e-gaming. That's why they're building something called a line, NEOM. And all these things are not working out. So they need to be able to control the oil resources of the entire Middle East if they are to survive and thrive as a nation. So I do believe that this reporting is credible, even though it does make Saudi Arabia look bad. But remember, Saudi Arabia says that they wanted peace, but they are helping the Israelis and the Americans attack Iran right now because they're allowing the Israelis and Americans to use Saudi airspace.
So help us understand, because it still feels to me like there's some pieces that don't totally add up. You had in advance of this war on Iran, you had
airspace, but they are helping the Israelis and the Americans attack Iran right now because they're allowing the Israelis and Americans to use Saudi airspace.
So help us understand, because it still feels to me like there's some pieces that don't totally add up. You had in advance of this war on Iran, you had top military brass up to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying, this is a really bad idea. We are not ready for this. All the math on the interceptors that's been talked about for months at this point. And yet Trump still decided to go ahead. What is the calculus that he was making here that led him to take what already appears to be catastrophic actions?
Right, okay. So this is the key question. Why do they do this? I think there are three possibilities, okay? And I think all three possibilities are valid. The first is the idea of hubris. If you look at history, this is how empires behave. So the Mindoro kidnapping was quick, successful, and it was adrenaline rush for Trump. And that made him overconfident in the capacity of the American military, okay? So hubris is a factor, and we see this throughout history. Why did Hitler invade Stalin? Because he conquered Europe really easily, and he thought it was invincible, right? And that led to the destruction of the German army in the Soviet Union. So hubris is a factor. Then you have to look at internal political calculus, where even though America does not benefit from this war against Iran, Trump himself personally benefits. Why? Because the Saudis and the Israelis are bribing him to attack Iran. Remember that the Saudis invested $2 billion in the private equity fund of Jared Kushner, who is the son-in-law of Donald Trump. And the Israelis, through Miriam Adelson, have been financing Trump's political career, right? So Miriam Adelson, a few months back, said that she will put up $250 million if Trump were to run a third term. So Trump is getting a lot of financial and political support from the Saudis and Israelis. Also remember that if this war goes sideways and Trump is forced to use ground troops,
और
he will
गाइस एक और चीज याद रखें, एस्टीम फाइल भी रिलीज हो चुकी है। मतलब मुझे लगता है सऊदी या जो भी अरब कंट्री है उनकी चीजें भी उनके पास पड़ी है। देयर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी इसकी वजह से उनका प्रेशर आ रहा है यूएसए के ऊपर। क्यों ट्रम्प की तो रिलीज हो चुकी है, मतलब थोड़ी सी रिलीज हो चुकी है, और अरब कंट्री की रिलीज नहीं हुई है। तो मुझे लगता है देयर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी कि यूएसए ट्रम्प को इसकी वजह से प्रेशर कर रहे हैं, ये मतलब सऊदी प्रेशर कर रहा है। सोचने की बात है गाइस, सोचने की बात है ये। वी हैव टू थिंक गाइस, वी आर नॉट स्टूपिड।
probably get approval from Congress, and this will give him emergency war powers, which will allow him to influence the midterms. So Trump is thinking about a third term, and I think at the ballot box he probably won't get it. But if there's a war going on and you can delay elections, and you have emergency war powers, and people rally around the flag, then he probably will get a third term. And the last factor that is very important is the eschatological factor, where if you look at the Epstein files, it's clear that we are run by secret societies. It's clear that the world is run by these individuals who have a lot of power. We don't know who they are, but they control the military, they control the national security apparatus. And these people, there are different names for these people. You can call them the Illuminati. And the Illuminati are composed of three major groups, okay? You have the Jesuits, who control the Vatican. You have the Septine Frankists, which control the modern state of Israel today. And you have the Freemasons, which control the national security apparatus of the United States. And they believe that Israel, this war in the Middle East, is key to the end times in creating heaven on earth. So it's almost like a script that they're following, even though it doesn't make any geopolitical sense. Okay, so I would say that these three are the best reasons why this is happening.
Wow. Well, sir, I hope you come back. This was very informative, I think, for both of us. We deeply appreciate your time.
इसने एस्टीम फाइल की बात नहीं की, इसने सिर्फ बात की कि पैसे, मतलब ट्रम्प को बहुत पैसे खिलाते हैं सऊदी कंट्री वाले और इजरायली लॉबी एंड और चीजें भी होंगी, तो मतलब उसकी बात नहीं की। असल में इसने 8 महीने पहले ही प्रिडिक्ट कर लिया था कि ये चीजें होने वाली है, ये सारी चीजें होने वाली है। ट्रम्प विल अटैक ईरान, क्योंकि ट्रम्प के ऊपर बहुत प्रेशर है, एक स्ट्रीम फाइल का, एक उसको बहुत चीजें पैसे दिए जाते हैं। जैसे आपने सुना होगा कतर ने बहुत पैसे दिए थे, जहाज दिया था बड़ा वाला, बहुत महंगा वाला, वो भी इतना पुरानी बात नहीं है, वो भी चीज उसमें है। वी डोंट नीड दिस वॉर, व्हाई किल ईच अदर, मेक पीस। आई थिंक दिस वॉर इज स्टूपिड, एवरीबॉडी इज डाइंग ऑन ईच साइड। या विलियम, यू आर राइट, बट these people are crazy, and these people like are protectors who we have seen it in the Steam files how much they are like crazy persons, guys. They eat people, guys. They are like that wild. It's not just Israel is pressuring on the Trump, and Saudi and other Arab countries are also like pressuring Trump. That's why this war is happening, and we are in chaos. I think if this war will be keep going, it will be like if this war will be going like 3 or 4 months. I think it will be like world war. It can be a world war, guys, and because Trump is Iran is not going down easily. It's not going down easily. It will fight till he has a breath, guys. And Trump is crazy person. The Americans need to think, guys. They are most of the like, not I'm talking about the young population. I'm talking about the old population. They are now old, like in 50s, in 40s. These people have to think why they are wanting in these people, because America's young population is like they are getting intelligent. They are learning, guys. They are learning. We have to read, guys. We have to read.
I hope
James,
everyone had a nice break, and welcome
Protector.
back to the end of the world. So as you know, World War III has started. The United States and Israel have started to attack Iran. And we are now in the
Guys,
fourth
we
day
are live
of this
on
war.
Kick and
And we
Twitch
can
if you want
expect
to
this
watch
war to last
This
for
live
many
stream in
weeks,
the original live stream.
possibly also for many years. But I promise you that after this war is done, the world will never be the same again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what we will do
100%.
these next few weeks is use game theory and understand and analyze the
Pakistan
geopolitical
also have to
situation.
think, guys.
And so I'm going to teach you
Pakistan
the
and
ideas,
also
the
need to
theories,
think.
the techniques
And
to
Turkey.
understand the world around you and make predictions. And we can know if our analysis is correct, because all this is happening in real time.
Because
and so
Saudi
we can
is done,
test
guys.
against reality.
Saudi and
Alright,
Qatar
so
and
let's go
UAE.
over
UAE
some
especially, guys.
basic
Especially
facts
UAE.
about
Is the
what's
bad
happened so
country,
far.
guys. UAE.
So in the early morning of Saturday, in Tehran, the Israelis and Americans launched a decapitation strike against the Ayatollah Khamenei, who is the supreme leader of Iran. Now, there are arguments and disputes about as to what happened. The Americans and Israelis said that they had real intelligence about where the leader was, and so they sent airplanes to just
No, guys. It's like, मतलब सोचने की बात है. असल में जो भी बड़े लीडर होते हैं, उनको मतलब 100% उनको ज्यादा मालूमात होती है हमसे. तो जो नाम इसका बहुत हार्ड है. जो ईरान के जो लीडर था, उसको भी पता था व्हाट इज गोइंग टू हैपन. ही न्यू इट that American will attack him, and he wanted to be a great person. I can say great person, yeah. And he want to give a breath his country, like, you are strong, we can fight. If he's there, and he's like, everybody is boosted, guys. Now everyone is ready to fight.
bomb the crap out of the place. They also had a spy who was able to record the body of the dead Ayatollah. And then this was announced. At first, the Iranians denied this, and the Iranians insisted he was still alive. But eventually, state media admitted that he did die in the airstrike. But then what they also said is that the Ayatollah, he's 86 years old, and he chose to die.
Yeah.
He could have gone to Moscow, but instead he chose to stay in Tehran and die for his people.
Even
Not only that, but he died along many of his relatives. He died along with his daughter, his son-in-law, his grandchildren. So many of the family died in this assault. Also, there's been reporting that he had prostate cancer. Okay, so he was going to die fairly soon as well. So what you need to understand first about the war is that even though the Americans and the Israelis claim great success in decapitating the leadership of the Iranians, from the Iranian perspective, this is a martyrdom, okay?
Martyr.
And so
In Urdu, it's a shaheed. It's shaheed. मतलब उसमें भी शहीद बोलेंगे, अरबी में शहीद. शहीद is like someone who died cause of the god, for the god.
the religion of the Iranians is called Shia,
It's not a religion.
Muslim.
Yeah, it's not a religion. The religion is Islam.
And this is different from
But इसको थोड़ी कम मालूमात है इसमें बातें में, तो हम इसको इग्नोर करेंगे इस चीजों को.
Sunni. Muslim. So Sunnis are the majority. They're about 9% of all Muslims in the world. The Shia have always been the minority. And as such, they've always been persecuted. So in the Shia faith, the core value, the force that binds everyone together and gives them purpose and meaning in life, that galvanizes them into action, is the idea of martyrdom, which forces jihad. To sacrifice yourself for your religion, sacrifice yourself for the common good. So think of the death of Khamenei as a sacrifice, a self-sacrifice, in order to motivate the Iranians in this war, okay? So that's the first thing you need to understand. That for the Iranians, this is not a geopolitical war. This is not an economic war. This is not a war of resistance. This is a jihad. Okay? It's a war against the great Satan to avenge their leader. War. They will fight to the death. All right? That's number one. Number two is this. Also that morning, when the Ayatollah was killed, the Israelis struck a school in the south of Tehran, killing...
Yeah, guys. Israeli struck the, killed a child. The female school, guys. It was a female school.
About 150 school children. These are girls in primary school. And again, there's a lot of debate and argument as to what happened. The Israelis said that, first of all, the school was next to a military base. We were targeting a military base. And second of all, it wasn't us which struck the school. It was a air defense missile that went off course. Okay? And the Iranians insisted no. The Israelis purposefully attacked the school to kill the school children. And then you're like, why would the Israelis do that? But then these few years, we've seen what they've done in Gaza, in Palestine, to the Palestinians. And it's pretty consistent what the Israelis have been doing. All right? So this action against the Israelis, it's meant to show to themselves and the world that we are now all in. Okay? We've made the sacrifice. We are now committed to this war, to winning this war at all costs. And this action has also provoked the Iranian people to resist with their full might. Okay? So I want you to keep this in mind. And again, we don't have complete evidence that it's the Israelis who did this. But given past actions from the Israelis, this is fairly consistent with what they've done. Okay? So we can assume that this is something the Israelis did. Why they did this, what the purpose is something we will discuss as we move on. Okay? It's very complicated. Next, I want to show you this. This is Dubai. And Dubai is considered one of the wealthiest, safest cities in the world. There are thousands, tens of thousands of Westerners who move to Dubai because it's clean, you don't pay any taxes, you make a lot of money, and there are great restaurants. And this is really the economic model of Dubai. It's one of the Gulf, the GCC countries, okay? The Gulf coastal countries. And for the longest time, Dubai had a really good deal, because they were under the protection of the American military. So they didn't have to pay for defense. They were in the Middle East, which is the oil producing center of the world. And so they focus on aviation. They focus on logistics, they focus on finance, on tourism. Right? I'm not sure if you've taken Emirates, one of the best airlines in the world. So their airport, Dubai Airport, is the busiest in the world. And Dubai for a long time was flourishing
Afghanistan attack kiya tha, it was not a random.
Dubai said
it was not a random attack, guys. It was a planned attack. क्यों जब उसने अटैक किया है 3 दिन के या 2 दिन के बाद ईरान का अटैक हुआ है. असल में पाकिस्तान supported Iran in like a, not openly. It's like a blind. It was like a backside, like not backside, like it's like a how can you say it? Like it was not openly, but it was
like Switzerland. We're neutral. We don't want any involvement in any wars. We're here just to take care of our citizens, to make sure everyone has a good time, to make money. And then right after the war started, the Iranians attacked the GCC, okay? Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Bahrain, Qatar,
Pakistan failed this
Kuwait,
step. No,
they attacked these places.
Pakistan not failed this step.
And these places were like, what's going
Pakistan
on? We're
army
neutral,
is
man.
the
We're not
wild
involved
Pakistan.
in
It's the wild army.
this war. And the
Our
airport was shut down in
politicians
Dubai.
are like a,
At
like
one point,
a,
rich
like a
people
dolls.
in Dubai
They are
were willing
the
to pay
dolls.
about 250,000 US dollars. Just to
all
get on a plane
Pakistan
and
knows
get
the
out of there.
politicians are useless.
Okay? So, the reality is this. For the longest time, Dubai had a reputation for being safe, and that's why people moved their
You
money
have
there.
to do more
Guess what,
research.
guys?
Retro
After
rocket.
the Iranians did, it's dead. Dubai as a city, in the long term, it is dead. Because you're a wealthy Westerner, you're not going to move to a place where it could be attacked anytime by the Iranians. You might move to
Or
Singapore,
you can be
you
an
might move
Indian,
to Hong
baby.
Kong,
Yeah.
Japan,
That's why you're saying in Pakistan
South
is the
America,
failed
but you're not
step.
moving to Dubai, okay?
Pakistan army
So
equal
the big
political.
question for us is, why did the Iranians do this? It was the
Yeah.
Israelis and the Americans who attacked you. Why go after the GCC? All right? And not only that, but they're escalating the attacks against the GCC. So this is something that we will look at very closely today. Well, the short answer is because these places, even though they pretend to be neutral, they house the American military.
Yeah.
They allow the Israelis and the Americans to use their
Guys, जो भी बिल्डिंग में ईरान ने अटैक किए ज्यादातर उस बिल्डिंग के ऊपर अटैक किए ज्यादातर जहां Iran, Americans were there and maybe Israelis were there. I'm not from India. Okay, that's great. I'm just well informed. Oh, that's great, bro. But you're not well informed, guys. I'm from Pakistan. Like I live in the Pakistan. You have to know how much I know it.
airspace to attack Iran from. All right? So this is Bahrain. Now, Bahrain is interesting, okay? Because I want you guys to remember this. But Bahrain will probably be one of the major centers of this conflict. Because, first of all, this is the American Fifth Fleet. All right? This is their naval base in the Middle East. And as you can see, the Iranians are attacking it
Everyone
with
knows Pakistan
missiles.
is ruled
And
by the
it's
army
being blown
generals.
up.
They are
Bahrain
very
is
rich.
interesting because it has about 50% or even more, okay,
They are
Shia,
rich, but they are not
which
rich
is the
like a
religion
political
of the Iranians.
people are.
But the people in
have
charge
more
are the
power.
Sunnis.
They have
So-
a gun power, guys.
What makes this strike really important from our perspective is, first of all, not only are the Iranians attacking U.S. military assets, not only are they destroying the economies of the GCC, but they're also trying to ignite a religious war, right? Because you're Shia, you're loyal to the Ayatollah. And if he's dead, then you must, as a religious obligation, now commit jihad against your enemies. And it's no different in other religions where, listen, if you want to kill the Pope, the Catholics would be really angry at you and they would want to kill you, right?
Yeah.
So now you have the Shia who will probably eventually arise, creating a revolution
Do
in
you
Bahrain.
search
Okay?
on
So I
the
think
army
Bahrain will be the
general
first to
and their
fall.
network?
Dubai will probably go bankrupt.
These are
Okay?
stupid things.
But in the long
They're
term,
saying about the
we can expect the
best.
entire
We know.
GCC
Everyone
area,
know they are rich guys.
including Saudi Arabia.
If I'm
to
not
eventually
saying
collapse,
it, it's not
okay?
mean
And
they.
this is something
These
we
are
will
not
use game
rich.
theory to understand.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Let's
it.
continue. So we will know how this war develops just based on geography, okay? So this is a map. And this map, even
Now he's showing how the Iran looks like. Literally, it's like this mountain.
even if you don't really know the war, even if you don't know the participants, even if you don't know the weaponry, this map will tell you exactly how this war will progress. All right, so some certain things
Guys,
to keep in
after
mind
a
about this
1
map.
hour, we are going
This is
to
what we call this area, okay?
leave
Really
the
small.
YouTube and
It's
we
30
will go
33
toward the
kilometers wide, okay?
and to-
People can swim across it.
because
it's really, really
right here I can't show anything like crazy things
narrow,
are
okay?
happening.
This small area, guys.
That's
it's
why
called the
I
Strait of
have
Hormuz.
to leave the
Right.
YouTube in 1 hour.
And it's important because it's really the center of the world. This one area is the nexus, the pivot of the world. Let me explain why. First of all, From the GCC, you have 20% of all the world's oil flowing through this narrow strait. Where does it go, guys? It goes to Asia, India, Pakistan, South Korea, China, Japan. India depends on 60% of its oil from this area. China depends on 40%. Japan, 75%. Prime Minister Takeichi of Japan has said that, listen, if the Strait of
Pakistan
Hormuz
has
closes,
also
you'll
other
run
ways
out
to
of oil
get
in
our
about
oil
8,
from
9
Iran,
months.
guys.
The entire
This is
Turkish
not a
economy
fun
would
way to get
collapse
oil.
in 8, 9 months if the Strait of Hormuz were to close. And guess what?
It's bad for the Europe, guys. Yeah, it's bad for the Europe and for China because Europe will be doomed, guys. If any European people is watching me right now, guys, your petrol is going up like in 10 days. Guys, you have to watch your cash, guys.
The
Sorry,
Iranians
guys.
have closed the Strait of Hormuz. Okay? So we can expect that the entire global economy will suffer greatly over the next few months. All right, so that's point number one. Point number two is, okay, so the GCC sends oil across the Strait of Hormuz,
Tyler.
and what do they get back in return? Food, guys. All right, so people don't appreciate the GCC, but it is really the linchpin of the American empire. Because what is the American empire? The American empire is the petrodollar. All right? The idea of the petrodollar is this. The US dollar is worth nothing. It's only valuable if people want it.
What
But the GCC says that if
depression
you
is
want oil
coming.
from
No,
us, you
bro,
have
the
to pay us
war
in
is
US
coming,
dollars.
bro. The
Okay?
war
And that
is
is the
coming.
basis
What
of
is
the
the thinking,
value
bro?
of the US
The
dollar.
depression.
So, if the GCC collapses, the
Depression is a
American
small thing,
economy
bro.
and the American empire
We will
both
not
collapse at
doomed,
the same
guys.
time. The problem, though, is that GCC
We
is
have
an
to learn about the
artificial
Jews
construct
last,
of empire.
like last
It does
thing,
not
like
exist
Jews. What Jews think about
naturally.
the last day?
Why? Because there's no food, there's no oil, no water. Okay, guys? No food, no water.
One thing you need to remember is like European dudes, Venezuela was captured because of oil. They knew it. They are going to attack Iran. The oil will be shut down. Wake up, European dudes. Don't be a
So
dumb.
these cities are able to grow in the millions because of all these petrodollars flowing in. If you close off the Strait of Hormuz, there's no food coming in, right? They're all going to starve.
Right now, you're living in Europe. It's
How
very
much food does
expensive.
the GCC get
Now it will be
from
more
overseas?
expensive.
80%. 80%
Oh my
of
God.
all the food it consumes comes from overseas, that it imports. It doesn't grow by itself, it imports. All right? So the Strait of Hormuz is really key. And again, the Iranians will close it in order to strangle the global economy and therefore bankrupt the American empire. All right? Second thing you will notice is these mountains. These mountains is what we call Iran. All right, this is Iran. This is GCC. Okay, this is not a fair matchup, right? Because these are mountains. And what can you do in mountains? We can hide rocket
Guys, GCC means Arab countries, guys. Okay?
bases. You can hide drone bases. You can hide missiles. And that's the entire Iranian offensive strategy. All right? From here, they can hide missiles and drones from which to attack the GCC. And what are they attacking? They're attacking three things, right? They're attacking American military bases. American military bases. That's number one. Okay? Is it possible for the Americans to defend against these attacks? The answer is no. They're not, it's not. It's the silliest thing in the world. You have all these bases in the Middle East, but you cannot defend them against the Iranians. That's kind of strange. Okay, but that's number one. Number two is oil and energy. How hard is it to blow up an oil field with a drone? Not hard at all. Can you defend these oil fields? No, you cannot. All right? Number three, And the most important is water. Okay? You guys don't know this, but the GCC has little access to fresh water. So the only way that it can produce water is what we call desalination plants, okay? These factories that take salt water and then through an electrical chemical process, turn it into fresh water for the population to use.
Iran has just
60%
begun to fight.
of the water supply in the GCC comes from
No, now you are
desalination
waking
plants,
up.
okay? 60%.
Like Iran has wake up when
Is it hard to blow up
when
these
America
desalination
attacked
plants using a drone? The answer is
Iran.
it's very easy.
At that time,
There's
Iran
that.
wakes up.
Okay? So you have this absurd situation where Iran is a mountain fortress where it can hide its offensive capacity, and the GCC, it's just this desert, this flat desert, and it is exposed to attack, and there's nothing it can do about it. Okay? So at any point in this war, the Iranians can choose to just destroy the entire GCC, and there's nothing that anyone can do about it.
Oh my God.
Okay? But Iran also has a weakness.
European
right? And this is
guys,
fundamental.
my heart is
so
with
I-
you.
Iran
Guys,
also
my heart
has
is with
a
you.
water
The left side
problem,
is this way.
So for the longest
Sorry.
time,
My heart is
they
with
a
you.
drought issue. Okay, just climate change. And so what the plan of the Israelis and
It's so
Americans
ridiculous.
is destroy the water supply of the Iranians. Because the fortress, it is a
Remember
mountain
the Iran-
fortress,
Iraq
but it can
war.
also be a mountain prison as well, where people are trapped inside with no access to water. Okay, so what we're going to see right now, we're already seeing attacks on civilian infrastructure, hospitals. In the future, you'll see attacks on water supply, on dams, on reservoirs, on power plants. The point, the idea is to make Iran so inhabitable that the people will have to rebel against the people, or there'll be a refugee crisis in Iran. Okay? So as you can see from this map, this war, it is the end of the world. Okay? Both sides have the potential to destroy each other. And it's really a question of how far do they want to go. All right? We can also say this is almost a game of chicken. Okay? We can blow each other up. How far do you want to go? And the problem is this. The problem is that the Iranians are Shia, which believes in martyrdom. And you've killed the religious leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei. So they're willing to go very, very far. The GCC countries are Muslim, but they're materialistic. They love money. And also, most of the population are expatriates, foreigners. 90% of Dubai are foreigners. Guess what's going to happen if they suffer? They're all going to run away. Okay? So this is not a fair matchup. The big question that people have is, first of all, are the Americans going to use ground troops? Because the only way that you can defeat Iran is by using ground troops, okay? That's a big question we will look at in the next few weeks. Will America send its army, 500,000, 2 million soldiers to topple the government? Okay, that's question number one. Question number two, nuclear weapons.
But how will America send his army inside the Iran? That question, I have no idea how they will send inside Trump has a way of the world, I think.
If you're losing a war, would you choose
Yeah,
to use
Trump
nuclear
have a
weapons?
way
Okay,
of
that's another
how to
big
destroy
question
the world. Trump have a
that
way.
we have, okay?
Let's attack
Another
the
big question
Iran
we
and
have
the world
is
will be
who
destroyed.
gets involved.
Oh my God.
Because this situation is so dire that Europe, okay, specifically Germany, France, and Britain are talking about entering this war.
It's so stupid.
And guess what? If that happens, it is
Yeah,
possible
bro.
that Russia and
Then you are
China
doomed.
will also enter this war on the side of the Iranians. This is World War III, okay? Because of the importance of the Strait of Hormuz, because
And also remember the Pakistan have to help the Iran because this Palestine border is weakened right now because some terrorists are there attacking these sites, and if Iran dropped, Pakistan knows that the second country will be Pakistan.
Because of the importance of the Middle East, everyone has to get involved at some point. And we're going to use game theory to really try to understand
And right now,
what's
the
happening
China
on the
is
ground
helping
and where this
Iran,
could lead
guys.
us.
It's like silent, but they are helping.
All right. You guys understand? All right. All right. Let's continue. Okay, so again, there are American bases all over the Middle East. And originally, these bases were established to protect them from basically their own people. Okay? These are monarchies that were imposed on these nations by the Anglo-American Empire, the British first, and then the Americans came to support these monarchies. And so they provide defense. But then you're like, wait a minute here. I mean, didn't we just say that these American bases can't actually defend these people, that they're exposed? And the answer is yes, that's true. But remember, like the American military was built during the Cold War. Okay? And the Cold War was a war between the Soviet Union and America. And so the Cold War was defined as something called MAD, mutually assured destruction, because both had nuclear weapons, okay? So they didn't really go to war against each other. And so in other words, these bases aren't really meant to defend these nations from other enemies. They're really meant to impose American authority in the Middle East, okay? And it's the idea of this. It's the idea that empire, it is really a image. It is a hallucination. It's just an idea. Empire is it's an aura of invincibility and invisibility, okay? If you fear it, then you obey it.
Right now, American dollar is so
it's not really
big,
designed
guys.
to fight a war, okay? And
Day
so
by
that's
day,
why
it's
we have this
getting
absurd situation.
bigger.
And because there are so many bases in the GCC, that gives the Iranians the perfect
This war has
pretext to
shown the
attack them
humanity
in order to
that the
destroy the GCC economy,
never
which will destroy
treated
the American
those
Empire. Right?
Different
All right,
from
so
them.
this is how the war is shipping out, okay? So the red is the Israelis and the Americans.
Right
the
now,
yellow
it's not all about
are
the West, but it's all about the Israel,
Iranians.
guys.
And as you
You
can
have to
see,
think.
the Iranians are attacking everywhere.
Never forget about the Israel, guys.
Israel, okay? But also, as you can see, a lot of focus on Bahrain and Qatar. And again,
This small country, guys, this small country is trying to destroy all of us, guys.
the intention is to destabilize the
I think
economy.
talking about
and the
this country on YouTube, it can be banned, me, guys.
government. Okay, it's to try to get as much instability as possible. All right. Okay, and as you can see, the Americans and Israelis are focused on Tehran. And so the Americans and the Israelis use something we call shock and awe. And the very idea of shock and awe is you decapitate the enemy. You cut off the head, the body will fall down, okay? The problem, though, is, again, the Iranians see this as a religious war. And so the Iranians have announced total war. Okay? And so what this means is that right now, command and control in Iran is decentralized. There's no one person telling everyone what to do. Every region has its own orders, has its own strategy. And so if you knock out Tehran, everyone else keeps on going. So if you take off the head, it doesn't change anything. Okay? But unfortunately, the Israelis and the Americans use this as a military doctrine. Military doctrine just means how you design your military for what purpose. And so even though the Americans seem like an invincible army, they are not equipped to fight a 21st century war against drones, against destabilization, against religious fanatics. Okay, they're just not. All right, but unfortunately, because of military doctrine, they're going to keep on attacking Tehran. Now, the great irony of all this is that the Iranians who are most supportive of you, of regime change, are actually in the cities because they are educated, they're progressive. The people who are most fundamentally against you, will fight you to the death, are religious fanatics, the Shia militants living in the rural areas. Okay? So this is a really silly thing where you are actually destroying those who will most likely support you, and you're leaving alone those who are most likely to commit jihad again.
Guys, one thing, remember this dude predicted that the America will attack Iran, guys, like 8 months ago. You can watch it on YouTube. If you go on his channel, you can watch it there. He predicted 8 months ago.
All right.
This war is going to happen.
Any questions so far, guys? Are you clear? All right. So another idea that I want you guys to understand is the idea of asymmetry. Asymmetry. All right. So what is asymmetry? Asymmetry means that the two sides are choosing to fight different wars using different techniques because one is much stronger than the other, okay? America is a great empire. It has unlimited resources. It has the USD. It controls the world, right? Iran is a country that has been under economic sanctions for the past 45 years. It's poor. Its technology is very limited, okay? But as we learn in this class, actually, those nations that are poor actually have more energy. They're more open, and they're more cohesive. All right, so let me give you an example. This is what we call the Shahad drones. Shahad drones. Each of these drones costs $50,000 at most. Okay?
But no one has idea that you are that
it can
kind
go
of
as cheap as
stupid,
$35,000 US dollars. But one of them is $50,000. As you can see, you can fit a lot of these drones to a truck that can go anywhere in Iran, and they can hide anywhere. All right? So the thing to understand is, first of all, these drones are cheap. They're easy to make. They make about 500 a day. Okay? And estimates are about there's 80,000 right now that the Iranians have. So they can go on for a long, long time. Okay? And one of these drones, again, can knock out a desalination plant. It can knock out an oil field. It can knock out a hotel. It can do a lot of damage. Okay? And it's easily transportable. You can hide it anywhere. You can use it from anywhere, okay? And that's what the Iranians are using as an offensive weapon. And how do the Americans defend against this? They use something called a THAAD, right? Right, guys? This is what they use. THAAD. THAAD stands for Thermal High Altitude Air Defense. And they also have like Patriot systems. There's a lot, okay? The thing that you need to know about the system is it's really expensive. This missile, guys, costs $1 million.
The rockets are coming from the UAE. I have no idea if it's true or it's lie.
$1 million. So there's this $50,000 drone coming your way, and you throw a $1 million missile at it, okay? And often these missiles miss, so you have to throw 2 or 3 missiles at it, okay? So you're spending $2 to $3 million on each $50,000 that the Iranians spend. That's kind of silly. Second thing you'll notice is that this thing is really big and really slow. And therefore, you can't really move it around. Therefore, it's pretty easy for the Iranians to spot where this is and attack it. And then when these things blow up, that's a lot of money, guys. Okay? Then you're like, what? But this makes no sense. You know the Iranians have drones. They've had drones for like 10 years. You've also seen drones used in the Russia-Ukraine war to devastating effect. Why don't the Americans know this? Why did they prepare? Okay, and again, it has to do with military doctrine. Because military doctrine determines how you fight a war. It determines
I think this war will be a last war for the US.
And it determines how you spend your resources, okay? And unfortunately, the Americans are used to fighting something called the Cold War.
This war will be last war.
right? And the Cold War, because you can
Yes,
actually
the
fight
empire
the
can
war. You
drop
can actually use kill each other because then people use nuclear weapons. The Cold
my
War was about
prediction, sir.
flexing. Flexing. Okay? You see how
Thank you for
big and powerful
subscribing.
I am?
Brother.
Okay? That's all it was. These weapon systems are designed to scare the crap out of you. They are designed to impress you. And as a result, they cost a lot of money.
Yeah, they are so expensive, guys. The Americans are paying it, guys. They are not eating a food, they are paying for the Israel, guys. For these rockets.
But they don't do anything, all right? So that's the entire American military.
How
It
Americans
costs a
are
lot,
generous,
and it doesn't really do
guys.
anything. And it's not resilient. It's not innovative. It's not open. All right. Also, the other thing I have to say this, okay, is if you look at the American military, it's corrupt. So this is really about corruption. So the Americans don't really care about winning a war. What they care about is spending as much money as possible because then they get a cut. It doesn't make sense. Right? And that's why the Americans are in a situation as they are. All right, let's continue. All right. So something that people don't really talk about, but you need to understand, it's the water issue in the GCC, in the Middle East, in Iran. All right. So this is a map of the world. And if you are light blue, Brazil, Canada, you have nothing to worry about because you have a lot of water, a lot of fresh water, very little population. All right? So 100% just means 100% water stress just means that you drink as much water as the environment produces. Okay? So you want to be below 100% to be sustainable. Ideally, you want to be at 10%, okay? If it goes above 100%, it means that you are drinking more water, using more water than the environment actually produces. Okay, so you're putting stress on the environment. So 20% is really bad, right? Because you're using twice as much water as the environment produces. Guess what, guys? Look at the Middle East, okay? Egypt.
Oh my God.
6,420%. Saudi Arabia, 883%.
Oh my God. It's too bad, guys.
All right? Bahrain, almost 4,000%. Dubai, 17,000%. All right? So water is a huge issue. Again, it doesn't matter if Iran kills American soldiers, destroys American military. It doesn't have to do that. All it has to do is destroy the desalination plants. And
Yeah.
then the GCC is
They have
destroyed,
no
okay?
water to drink, guys.
But it's also true that Iran has water issues. 72% is pretty bad. Okay? So even though the Iranians could destroy the GCC much faster than the Americans could destroy Iran, Iran is still in trouble, okay? So
Guys, Turkey has no water,
let me
guys,
give you an example of
26%.
this.
Guys, 26% Turkey, Morocco 36%, Yemen it's like it's wild, guys. Oman is fine. Christiana, guys, is fine, guys. It's not fine. Iraq is fine.
This is like, sorry. So this is another map that shows you the issue of water scarcity, okay? And it's just basically the Middle East, okay? Their biggest issue in the future is water, okay? And that's where the geopolitical tensions will arise in the future over water. India is also affected as well, okay? All right. So let's look at the map, guys. This is called Lake Urmia in northern Iran. It's the 6th largest saltwater lake in the world, or it used to be. Okay, this is what it was in 1984. This is the shallow, this is the deep, okay? You guys see that? It's really big, right? 20 years later, guys, this is what it looks like. There's no more water here. You can walk from here over to there, okay? There's some water over here, but it's shallow now. That's how serious the water issue is in Iran. And that's the weak point that the Americans and the Israelis will attack. All right? They want to make sure that Iran has no access to fresh water, which will cause devastation in their nation. Okay, that's strategy number one. Strategy number two is this. This is a map of
And guys, sorry,
the
Americans,
different
sorry,
ethnic
you are dying
minorities
for
in
Israel.
Iran. As you can see,
That's
it's a
very
very
bad.
diverse place. In the center are the Persians, but you also
It's true,
have
guys. It's true.
10 other groups as
If you
well.
don't believe
And in the
me-
borderlands, it's basically a different country, right? Like, these are
This
basically
war
different
has shown
countries.
humanity that the best.
And so these places have more common areas with their neighbors than they do with Iran.
They just lie.
This is
There's
the
no
second
peace. There's no
weakness
peace.
of
They
Iran.
just
The
bring
first
the
is
chaos,
water.
guys.
The second is
They
the
just bring
ethnic
chaos.
makeup of the country. So
West just bring the chaos in America, guys, also. It's not the West.
the
Sadly,
strategy of the
they-
Americans and the Israelis moving forward is to destroy
Yeah, guys.
Iran as a
That's
coherent
bad, guys.
nation
You're dying
state,
for
divided
Israel.
into ethnic enclaves, and have them fight over water. That is the grand plan of the Israelis and the Americans. Okay. All right. This is the vision where Persia is limited, and then all these other places are sponsored by the Americans and the Israelis. They're given money, they're given weapons, they're given political support, and then this war will wage over water forever. Okay? And this is how you destroy Iran and make sure water for
Guys, this side is also a problem for the Pakistan. That's why Pakistan will try to try to Iran survive this war. They will help it. They will help him. They have helped them in the war of 12 days war, guys. It was like a not openly, but they helped them, guys. It's like you can find it. So many people are saying it, guys.
forever. Okay? And this is how you destroy Iran and make sure Iran is no longer a viable threat to you. That is the plan of the Americans. Okay? As you can see, it's a pretty evil plan. And that's why they have not announced it. Right? Because if you announce it, you're like, why are you doing this? What did the Persians, what did the Iranians ever do to you to warrant you coming and destroying their civilization?
Guys, and Persian has also one problem, guys. You have to know, guys. Persian think they are great, like they are above everyone. Their land, the Persian empire, they are the great empire. They were greater than the USA, I think so. But they had a huge empire, guys. Romans were not they were not. They were fighting with Romans, guys, and Romans were not a normal human, guys.
The answer is
That's
nothing.
why I think
Right? So the Americans and Israelis will never admit they're doing this, but if you look at the map of water supply, of ethnic tensions, this is the optimal game theory strategy for them to use against Iran. Okay, does that make sense? This is a long-term plan that they have in place. And it's all moving towards this plan. But now the question then is,
I think they did not have built the step. The child is step. They have attacked them fastly, guys. They needed more time to attack them.
how do the
They were in
Iranians
the rush,
respond
guys.
to this?
How they
And the
attacked?
answer is this. This is a map of the Muslim world. Okay? So the light green are the Sunni people. Okay? That's 90% of the entire Muslim population, about 2 billion people. Okay? Then you have in dark green the Shia. So as you can see, the main place of the Shia is Iran. Okay? Iran is one of the few Shia nations in the world. But you can also see from this map that Shia are spread throughout the world. Okay? And so the first thing that the Iranians want to do is create a jihad to unite all the Shia against the American empire. All right? So what they want to do is create an uprising. And it's already happening, guys. The Shia in Pakistan.
According to Jang, guys, Spain don't have Muslims because there's no dot of the guys, any green dot. Yeah, there's no green dot. Ukraine, no guys. Yeah, Russia has some dots. This all is
Pakistan stormed
that's
their
lie, guys.
embassy in Pakistan, and the Americans killed a lot of people. Okay.
Yeah.
The Shia.
Guys, Americans kill the Pakistani people in the Pakistan, guys. Or France or UK, no Muslim.
have attacked the American embassy in Iraq. The American embassy are being attacked in a lot of places. Right? So the first strategy is to create a international global jihad of the Shia against the American empire. And it's already happening. It will continue for a long time because the Americans have killed the Khamenei. Okay? And that requires vengeance. The other thing, though, is that it can unify the Muslim world. Okay? If you look at this map, most of the Muslim world is actually run by dictatorships that are not popular at all. Okay? And they're allowed to exist because of the American empire. Right? You go to Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Algeria, these places, they're all run by clients of the American empire, right? So if you rally the people who hate their governments and you overthrow them, then that makes Iran.
Guys, that plan did not work on Iran. They were trying to throw the government, but it did not work. It did not work.
The leader of the Islamic world, not just the Shia world, but the Islamic world. And this creates something called Pax Islamica. That is the end goal, guys. Okay? If you do that, then you don't have to worry about the Americans and the Israelis anymore. Right? So the Israeli game plan, the American game plan, is to fracture Iran into ethnic enclaves, and they'll fight over water for the rest of their lives, and they'll all die. The Iranian game plan is to create a religious war, a crusade that unifies the Shia people, that overthrows.
Not just Shia. It's not just Shia, guys. It's like uniting whole Muslim guys. Then they can win it, guys. Shia don't have that kind of population.
The American empire and establish something called the Pax Islamica.
He don't have a big knowledge about the Islam. He don't have a knowledge about the Islam, guys. That's why he's little bit somewhere he says something he's not managing. He's not saying true, guys. He's just saying it. He think it he think about, oh, maybe they are doing it, these things. No, they are doing other things, guys. Also, they're creating whole Muslim unity, guys. It's because major in these countries, most of the population support Iran in this time, guys. Most Sunni countries support Iran, guys. I'm talking about the population because the governments are they are doomed, guys. But Pakistan government is little bit weird, guys. it's weird. It's weird.
All right. So, again, the key is the GCC. All right? So the game plan is this. You have to destroy the GCC. Why? Because the GCC is the linchpin of...
Because he's not religious, guys. That's why. He thinks about the God is inside. The God is inside. And maybe everywhere there's a God. According to him.
Of the American empire. So what the GCC does is this. It sells oil, sells oil, and then for US dollars. Where does it put US dollars? It puts US dollars into the American stock market. All right, so this is investments of the UAE, okay, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait into the US financial markets. As you can see, from 2012 up to today, it's been exploding. All right? Because the US financial markets is one of the safest places where you can put your money. The intention is this. The intention is, hey, if I cut off oil and these countries no longer have access to US dollars, they're forced to spend whatever resources they have on protecting themselves, okay? And then guess what happens? The stock market collapses. The stock market collapses. The stock market is the real growth engine of the US economy. The entire US economy collapses with it. All right? There are about maybe 7 companies in America that accounts for about a quarter of stock market growth. Okay? These 7 companies, of course, are AI companies. NVIDIA, Microsoft, Google, Apple. Okay? These are the companies. And then these companies are heavily invested in by the GCC nations. So if these nations are no longer able to invest in the stock market, these companies will collapse in value. And with that, that would lead to economic depression in America. Okay, does that make sense? All right, so that is the situation for today. Today was just an overview, guys, okay? I know we covered a lot. I know there's a lot to take in, but over the next few weeks, we will explore each issue in depth and really understand what's really going on, okay? All right, so any questions, guys? Any questions about what we've just learned? Okay.
If other countries such as Italy, France, China, or Russia, they have also joined this war, like what's the cause of they joined the war? Because of oil or those resources?
Okay. That's a great question, okay? So I don't want to spend too much time on this question because we will explore this question as we move along, okay? So the question is, what brings the world into this conflict? And the easy answer is just oil access, energy access, okay? They need to protect their energy supplies.
Israel war
Because remember, it's a very complicated situation because Europe is now fighting Russia. So Europe is not buying any oil resources, energy resources from Russia. Therefore, it depends a lot on the GCC. So the GCC is not providing them energy, then the Europe will go bankrupt.
there is a possibility.
Okay, so Europe needs to enter this war on
Israel
behalf of the Americans.
You could.
Okay, and then you have Russia, which cannot allow Iran to fall because if Iran falls, then they'll come after Russia next. All right? China is actually neutral. China's okay with either scenario. But that's just the way that the Chinese system is set up. Okay? So we're going to explore this question as we move along. But it's a very complicated issue. All right? Okay? And each nation will have its own different strategic interests to consider. All right? And what we need to know, what we need to figure out is that this war in the Middle East is actually connected to the Ukraine war. And then as
I'm coming, guys. That's yeah, true. I have been reading.
Move along, I'll show you how these two things connect together. Okay? Any other questions, guys?
Guys, now is the best time to
Okay, great.
grow trees,
So
guys.
we'll continue this discussion on Thursday, okay?
Okay, guys. He has done. Okay, guys. He told us so many things, guys. I have more things to show, guys. Jeffrey Satchus? Or maybe I'm saying it.
Friend of the show, Professor Jeffrey Sachs. Good
Let's
to see you,
see
sir.
what he
Thank you so
says,
much for
guys.
coming back.
Great to be with you.
I wish it was under better
I have no idea about it.
circumstances. We did, of course, want to turn to you for a
I did
bigger
not have
picture of
watched
what
it,
this all
guys.
means. Let's go ahead and
What
first
do you-
start with our
what
first
do you
element.
think, guys, about
Prime
it?
Minister Bibi Netanyahu saying the quiet part out loud. He says, in bombing Iran, Israel has now the assistance of the United States, my friend, President Donald Trump, and the U.S. military. This coalition of forces allows us to do what I've yearned to do for 40 years. 40 years, it's a dream that the Prime Minister had, despite all of the alleged pretexts about preemptive attacks, nuclear strikes, ballistic missiles. This is something that has been in the heart of the Bibi Netanyahu project. I just was wondering if you could react to that and frame your general thoughts around this entire regional war that has now erupted.
I hadn't seen that quote, but if he said it, what an asshole he is. I've been saying that for years, that this is his dream, his campaign. I've put it at 30 years, since 1996, a doctrine called clean break.
Yep.
Which was a madman's document of a madman, Bibi Netanyahu, and his arch neocon,
guys, what do you think about the
extremist Zionist advisors in 1996, that basically was the blueprint for
What do you
nonstop
think about
war
the change?
in the Middle East. And now Netanyahu says what I've been saying. When I've been saying it, people have sometimes scoffed. But, now I know it's a 40-year plan, not just a 30-year plan. The man is a psychopath. And this is the reality of it. We have been roped into endless war by these extreme Zionists. And we're now in an ever greater escalation to full regional war for the purpose of Israeli hegemony in the Middle East. Of course, it aligns with the
And Israel also want that America falls, like he loses power in the Middle East, guys. Yeah, Israel also want that, guys.
madmen in Washington and Langley who want U.S. hegemony in
He
the
want
world.
to be on the top,
But that's
guys.
what this is
Israel
about.
want to be on top.
They don't count how many schoolgirls are dead. They couldn't care less. That's the whole
Guys,
point.
Israel first
There's
bomb
nothing
was
in
on the
this
school
about
of the girls,
the
guys,
dead.
in the Iran.
This
Guys.
is all
They
madmen's
start the
delusions.
war from
Let's
shooting
go and
down
put
the.
up E2 on the screen
Like,
here. So Trump is saying
guys,
now
guys.
he wants to talk to the Iranians after assassinating, their supreme leader,
Where
and
the heck are
bombing their
feminists,
country
guys?
and starting this war.
Where
He
are
told the
feminists?
Atlantic, quote, they want to talk.
The
I've
dumb
agreed to talk,
feminists.
so I will be talking to them. On the contrary, though, it does
Of
not
course
appear that
they
the
do.
Iranians want to talk for understandable reasons, especially after we used diplomacy now multiple times in a row as a ruse in order to attack their country. But what do you make of this outreach from President Trump, and also the relative silence from the administration after launching this war?
Trump's crazy. He may
Yeah,
even believe
kidding,
this,
yeah.
but he's crazy. Or he's psychopathic.
No, I don't think he's crazy, guys. I don't think he's crazy. I don't think he's crazy. He is manipulated. Like, some things have, like, Trump is not crazy person. He knows what he's doing. He knows. But, like, he's not in the control. The power, he don't have a power, guys, because he knows. Yeah. Love feminists.
Or it's what's called the dark triad personality. Extreme
Trump don't have a power, guys.
Machiavellianism,
Because of the
inability
Epstein file,
to
guys.
understand anything, murder the other side and
other
say, we
things.
love you. That's his approach. It's completely spiraling
say thank
out of
you.
control. I don't think he's
Come
the
again.
only agent of this, by the way. I think this is
Oh, you are leaving? Thank you.
this
Please
is
say.
the CIA
Thank you, come
long-standing
again. Bye.
effort. It's what Netanyahu said. Again,
What I need to say?
I'm better informed this morning thanks to you. It's 40 years, not 30 years. I always put it at a 30-year effort. But we have gone to war in Libya, Sudan, Somalia, occupied
After
Palestine,
Iran 3, I want
Lebanon,
USA to release the
Syria, Iraq, Yemen,
file.
and Iran for this
Epic consent?
extremist.
After
delusional
Iran 3, I
purpose.
want USA to release the file because
And
no,
what
guys,
have we got now?
the file will be released during the war.
Millions
I
dead,
think the file will be released on
but we're not supposed to count the
during the
dead.
war.
Trillions of dollars of loss. Chaos from Libya to Iran.
Not guys.
I mean
It's not
chaos.
fully released,
A
guys.
region across
like this
the
portion has
entire
been
North
released, guys.
Africa, Horn of Africa, and the Middle East in chaos because of this insane Zionism
They're small, guys.
and the U.S.
5
complicity
million
in it,
files were released.
and the delusions of control. How many wars will we get into? But, you know, interestingly,
like
2
3
points.
terabyte.
One, the American people see through this entirely. They're
They will never
completely
be
against
seen.
this. Trump,
They will be released.
well, to
If
say
Trump
that
tried-
Trump lied is to
Guys, if Trump tries to stop the war, the files will be released. Or the Arab countries try to stop the war, the file will be released. You have to know it, guys, these things.
sound like
How
an
do
idiot.
you
Of course,
feel
Trump
about
lies
the
every
stuff?
time he opens his mouth. But
They
his
will literally never
campaign
be released. Guys,
was
they will be
about
released.
not doing exactly this. But he's a
Don't be
puppet.
crazy. They will be
He's a
released.
puppet of the CIA and a
Or
puppet
maybe this
of
war will not stop.
Miriam
Nobody will
Edelman
try
and
to
a
stop the
puppet
war.
of Bibi
Trump
Netanyahu.
is
So
the
he's a
boss of
puppet.
the world. No, bro,
Or
Trump is,
blackmailed or something.
right now, Trump has
So
been
this is one
controlled.
point. The American people are completely against this. And as the Gallup poll showed last Friday, the
I think
American
you need to
people
free
are
the
on the
Trump
side
guys.
of the Palestinians.
Trump has been captured,
Both
guys.
make complete sense.
Cuba is next.
This is a
after Iran.
madhouse. This is not
Turkey
in
or Pakistan
any
is the next.
remote way
Cuba is a small country.
rational,
And don't
deliberate,
Israel don't care about the
legal,
Cuba.
honest, aimed at our
I think
security.
right now Trump
It's
needs
aimed at the
want to
delusion
capture the
of
Cuba. It will be like in the 5
complete
hours
control.
that Cuba will be captured.
Yeah, and
This
No.
white
yeah.
video
You
on
can't
the
control
video
the
is
world
there.
this way.
Right.
Madmen have tried for millennia. We're just the latest in this, but it comes to a
Oh,
very
you are
bad
thinking
end.
he's crazy?
And I think that we're seeing that
I
all
don't
right
think
now,
so.
especially with people like Lindsey Graham at the
Americans
forefront.
support
Why don't
Trump.
we take a listen to his
I think
comment about what the future of Iran
popularity
should look
of
like?
Trump
Sounds
has
a
been
lot like what
falling,
we have
guys.
had in store
And
for
now
the
it
last.
has
Let's take a listen.
It's like
In a social media
It's
post
like-
Sunday, President Trump wrote this,
How is
quote,
like-
hopefully the IRGC and police will peacefully merge with the Iranian patriots and
Yeah.
work together as a
Do you have
unit
evidence
to bring
that he's
back
lying,
the
guys?
country
You
to
have-
the
you have
greatness
evidence? Tell me.
it deserves. Is
I'm thinking
hope
about
the plan for the future of Iran?
No, the future of Iran is going to be determined by the Iranian people. The new Iran, whatever it is, whether it's a cleric or a representative democracy, our goal is to make sure it cannot become, again, the largest state sponsor of terrorism. That's a win for us.
But
That's
is there
win for the
is there a
region. If
plan
we
to
can
make
take the-
sure that happens, Senator? Is there a plan? Does the
Everyone
president have a
knows
plan
that-
to guarantee that that happens?
everyone knows ISIS has been created by CIA. Everyone knows now.
No, it's not his job
They
or
create
my
the
job
terrorists,
to do
guys.
this. How many times do I have to tell you? Our job is to
terms.
make sure Iran is no longer the largest state sponsor of terrorism,
For
to help
that,
the
the
people
one need to be
reconstruct a
in
new
the
government,
execution.
no boots on the ground.
the-
We don't own, you know
if
this
like
idea, you break it,
the-
you own it? I
if
don't
the
buy
one
that one
being
bit.
destroyed,
It's in America's
he will
interest
be
to make
running
sure
the
the
circle.
Ayatollah is dead. He's dead.
He doesn't buy that you break
Americans
it, you
do
own
not
it. He
support
says, dodges the
use
question
of
there about
you
any
are
sort of
citizen.
plan that's currently in place. As you were saying earlier, it
all-
seems now like a literal madhouse in this government. Literally, sir, while you were talking, I just have to read you this quote from the Secretary of Defense. This is not a so-called regime change war, but the regime sure did change. This is what we're dealing with now, currently.
Yeah, Secretary of War,
No,
I have to
it
correct
not-
you. We
Oh,
don't
sorry,
have defense.
sorry. I said Secretary of
Islam
Defense,
is
but
false.
yeah.
How is
we have
Islam is
war.
false?
Yeah.
Well, I've
You are
spent
delusional
decades
person, I think
along
so.
with bemoaning
You have less
Bibi
knowledge.
Netanyahu and Clean Break, thinking that Lindsey Graham is
You're
the
just
stupidest
talking.
person
You're
in
just
Washington,
talking randomly.
the most vile. That's a very tough competition, by the way. But that man has
Don't be a
never opened his
deluded
mouth in
person.
30 years
Learn-
without
learn
wanting more
it
deaths
about-
of other people.
We'll see it.
And now
We'll
he also
see it
says so
about.
clearly, no responsibility. I would like the American people to understand. I'm sure that they do, but
You're
just to
just
clarify,
lying.
we have been meddling in and
Do
destroying
you have a proof?
Iran
He married the
now
9-year
for
Aisha.
73
If he married,
years
what?
actively.
What then? What?
It was in
What? You know, American
1953
right now,
that the CIA
in now
and
time,
MI6
American married like
overthrew
12 years.
the democratically elected and popular government of Prime Minister
And-
Mossadegh. They did it
Like
because
100
Mossadegh
years
had
ago,
the complete
American was
audacity
married,
to say that
like
the oil
marry a
in
female
Iran
in
should
the
belong to the
70-year-old.
Iranian
70
people.
were
This was
female.
far too much for
I'm not lying,
Alan
bro.
Dulles
You can research it.
at the CIA and for MI6, who knew full well that the oil in Iran
You have
belongs
no
to
proof, guys.
Britain and to the
Dude, you
United
have no
States.
proof.
So they overthrew
You're just
him. In that
randomly
case,
saying
there
it.
was a, quote, successful regime change operation, which put in place a police state. The
You are
state
randomly-
led by the puppet,
You are random.
the Shah of Iran.
Yeah.
In 1979,
You are
he was
fool.
overthrown in a
Bro,
mass
you are
revulsion against decades of an
Sayyid
American-imposed
Bukhari.
police state.
Oh, Sayyid
And
Bukhari?
this government came into power.
Where?
Immediately,
Where it said?
the United States armed Iraq to kill hundreds of thousands of
His
Iranians.
father allowed it,
in
his
the
society allowed it, whole
Iraq-Iran
world
war
is allowed
between
it.
1980
Americans
and
are saying it
1988.
is.
Saddam Hussein
It's
was
bad.
our guy. He
How
was the
dumb
CIA's
you are,
guy.
bro. Not
Of
Americans,
course,
sorry.
when the CIA
You
is
are-
done with you, they kill you. So
You
Saddam
are saying
became the
it.
worst enemy of the United States soon afterwards, after he had done the bidding
Even
of the
Arabs
United
don't
States
talk
for
about
years.
the pagan
Since
Arabs
then,
did not talk
it
about
has
on
been,
this situation.
actually, now
How
I know
dumb
it's
you
since
are, bro.
1986. It's been
You need to
Bibi
learn about the
Netanyahu's
history, bro.
dream to overthrow the Iranian government. I always counted it as 1996. But the United States has been using every subterfuge, covert operation. It has been using assassinations, economic
society did
warfare,
not talk about on
crushing
this
the
situation.
Iranian
Like
economy
after like
ever since. The
like
Iranians
after like
have
13,000 years.
all that time they don't
remember
want a
this was
nuclear
a bad.
weapon. Bibi
How this is
Netanyahu,
bad?
who is a
In this
psychopath,
time, people
said
can
in
marry a
1996
female
they're
or 14
weeks
year
away,
female.
days
Guys,
away, months away. And he's been saying that for 30 years. For all I know, he's been saying
even
it for
16
40
years,
years.
14 years.
He is a
You
vulgar,
defend child
blatant,
marriage,
genocidal
secret-
liar. I hope I'm being clear. This
defending
is,
it. I'm
we're
telling
dealing
the
with
history,
something
guys. Why
absolutely
you are crying,
dangerous
bro?
in this world that is running our
If you want to
country.
talk, let's
So
talk.
it's extremely
Don't cry, bro.
dangerous. The Iranians did not want a nuclear
You
weapon.
defend some
The
literally
religious
born
leader who
criminal
they
and
just
child
assassinated was the one that said no nuclear weapons. It's against Islam. So kill him. It had nothing to do with nuclear weapons all this time. The Iranians reached out constantly to negotiate. And in 2015,
Yeah, he's right. Iranians were on the table. They accepted all requested, like all things. They accepted all things. Still, they are in the war, guys. Don't be fooled, guys. Don't be fooled, guys. Islam is false and it's very bro, you need to learn this thing, You are just saying it. Islam is done. Bro, bring it. Bro. You guys, you need to wake up. Iranian accepted all requests that America wanted. Not America. I think Trump wanted. Still, they are in the war, guys. Get out of my country. Tell us you are scared. You are getting now too much.
They
Now
concluded an agreement with
you
the
don't have a
United
proof and
States,
you are just crying
Britain,
and now
France,
you are saying bad
Russia,
words.
China, and Germany, the P5 countries plus one, called the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. And it put Iran strictly under UN supervision in the International Atomic Energy Agency. Bibi Netanyahu had a fit because he wanted to overthrow the government. He did not want peaceful relations with a non-nuclear Iran. So Donald Trump, who is a puppet of our CIA, Mossad, and Miriam Adelson and the rest, ripped up the JCPOA in 2018. That's the story. Then they bombed one of Iran's nuclear facilities.
Muslim
and by
also.
the way, during the period from 2015 to 2018, Iran stuck with the agreement, even though the United States cheated on the agreement that it signed because it was supposed to end the U.S. sanctions.
What do you think about
which it
Sunny
did not
Face?
do. Then Trump ripped it up. Then they began a campaign of
illustrator.
assassinations. Then they began bombing
My brother, Sunny Face.
Iran's nuclear facilities. And that's the story.
Do you
They
know about the
don't
Sunny
want
Face?
an agreement. Last year, they negotiated, and then in the middle of the negotiations, bombed Iran. This year, again, they negotiated, and then bombed Iran. You might ask,
I think he's saying true. He's not lying.
why did Iran come back to the negotiating table this time after
Can't
the
even
falsity
hear
last
you.
time? I'll tell you why. It's
Oh,
a
you
little
can't
strange.
hear me? That's
It's a
fine.
little weird. But nobody behaves as badly as the United States. So it's very hard to calibrate when there is a government that says we're negotiating, when they bring in a mediator, in this case, Oman. Or
I'm
when
saying,
the
what
U.S.
do you think about the
negotiators,
Sunny Face?
Witkoff
He's a
and
white
Kushner,
dude and he's Muslim now.
say, oh, we're making
Sunny
progress.
Face, a
It's
YouTuber.
hard for other people to calibrate the evil that's under it. This was a premeditated war, and the
I
negotiations
can
are a
understand him
pretext.
fine. Seems like an issue with
So this is
your
what's
eating.
happening.
Tryna-
It's amazing. It's you don't see this anywhere else in the world. By the way, at the emergency meeting of the UN Security Council that I attended on Saturday, you see how we're in the looking glass because one country after another attacked Iran for its violence. Even Bahrain called it unprovoked attack by Iran. Well, it's actually easy to do the scorecard. If your country hosts the US military, first of all, it means that you also host the CIA.
Yeah.
It means you are an occupied country. And so everyone that
How
spoke
many
against
languages
Iran
can
is an
you
occupied
speak?
country by the United
Philippines.
States. These are not independent countries. When we listen to Merz or to Macron or to the Danes or to the British, the U.S.
Guys, I think we need to
military and
stop the
CIA
fighting
is
about
all over
these
those countries and
things.
has been for decades. These are not independent voices. These are part of the vassal
If we
states
fight each other,
of
the
empire.
political
This
political
empire
people
is
will like
destroying itself
they will like
in
hurt
its
us,
bloodiness, its bloody-mindedness, its murders, its wars,
never
its debts,
never.
the
You are
trillions
my
of dollars
enemy.
we're spending in this. But this is an empire that is behaving
You are not my enemy.
so shockingly that
I don't
others
think you are
actually can't
If you are
calibrate.
Christian,
They
you
don't
like
understand that negotiation means we will come to murder you.
Your religion,
And that
bro.
the best thing is we will murder your
Your
religious
religion
leader.
don't want a war,
Let me
guys.
go ahead and put E5
Yeah.
up on the screen to your point
Be a
about
religious,
the
dude.
Gulf allies here. So there was a Saudi analyst who went
Saudi just said,
on Al Jazeera and told them,
I
quote,
hate
America
your
has
religion.
abandoned us
But
and
I don't
focused its
hate your
defense
religion.
systems on protecting Israel,
I think your
leaving
religion is
Gulf
good.
states that
You need to read about your religion, bro. Don't be stupid. Read. Don't be gay. Gay don't read. I don't. I have fun watching these Trump supporters losing the and I hate you. I love you, bro. I love you. My love is with you.
host its
love
military
is with
bases
you.
at the mercy of Iranian missiles and drones. And we have seen some impacts throughout the region, including, unbelievable images in Dubai, which is, of course, a playground of the global rich, where some of the luxury hotels have been hit. I can scarcely wrap my head around the level of, damage, brand damage, and economic damage that will be done over the long term. What do you make of these comments and potentially reassessment that is being done here by the Saudis as they see that the U.S.'s number one priority is ourselves and the
Love
Israelis?
you, Philly.
Well, I would refer them to two observations. First, by President John F. Kennedy in his inaugural address. He said those who would ride on the back of the tiger often find themselves inside it. In other words, you ride on the back of a violent empire, you become a victim. So the Saudis have known full well. They host U.S. military bases. The Gulf countries host U.S. military bases. The behavior of the United States is brazen and illegal. So this is what comes. I would also cite Henry Kissinger's famous adage that to be an enemy of the United States is dangerous, but to be a friend is fatal. So these countries need to grow up. They need to understand. Does the Arab world want to be a vassal of the United States? I don't think so. Does that provide them security? I don't think so. And incidentally, the damage to an entrepot like Dubai is devastating. This is supposed to be the place where it's safe to bring your family, to bring your money, to come for vacation, not to be in a hotel that is bombed. This will
Guys, you also need to remember that UAE and Israel is like a same. It's like a brother. They are brother.
a very, very long shadow on the region. But that
UAE is just
the
a lie,
miscalculation that
bro,
these countries
guys.
have
It's a
made.
lie.
They've watched the United States and Israel committed genocide in Gaza. They were quiet because they're occupied. They think this is safe. This is not safe. The safety in our world is to speak the truth. It's not to go along with the brazen evil of power.
Yeah.
Finally, I'm just curious for how you think, we talked there about the UN Security Council. There's been a lot of big talk by the President of Canada or the Prime Minister of Canada. The New World Order is changing. He immediately supports the regime change war with Iran. You just talked here about the vassal states of Europe. For how long are their populations going to put up with this? We just did a segment about blowback specifically across the entire Middle East, including a possible terrorist attack right here on our own country, reminiscent of many of the scenes from the war in Iraq and the so-called global war on terror. Do you think this is going to be a prolonged kind of earth-shaking geopolitical movement, or is there any point at all for us to be able to pull back from the brink and Trump can just falsely declare victory and move on? Or is just the genie out of the bottle completely?
I just want to point out that a momentous event last week, which seems like a different world because it is, was when the German Chancellor Merz went to China. And there were clips of him watching the Chinese robots performing. Mm-hmm. He was watching something the United States can't do, Europe can't do. He was watching a country that is at peace, and that is moving forward technologically, that is investing, that is at the frontier of technology. And the United States, in the meantime, is mass murdering people, killing people, running a budget deficit of 7% of GDP, and can't keep our goddamn infrastructure working at all. You come back to any American infrastructure, any airport, nothing works. Not the escalators, not the elevators.
I mean, in the New York tells, not in New York, in the Washington, like trains did not work, guys. Trains are also bad. And the food is bad, guys. Oh my God.
Elevators, not the walkways, nothing works.
How
Our
they are
government
fighting
is
a
half
war.
shut down. So the reality is we are doing ourselves in this way under this quest for global hegemony. That's the real story here.
Guys,
How
all our
self-destructive
shit
this
bad
is.
here now.
By the way, how much Trump lied every word
Because of the
about
wars.
claiming that he was going to stop this.
Everywhere.
He didn't stop it at all. He just opened up the floodgates of more killing.
Professor Sachs, thank you as always for your insights. We're really grateful for your time this morning.
Thank you so
Made
much.
in USA is not a
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button.
Yeah, nowadays. In old days, there was a good thing. Oh, Americans think? Yeah, excellent. Day by day, I think we need to watch this thing. Mossad busted or false flag operation on the UAE. Circle. Where's the sound? Oh my God.
Ras Tanura after drone strikes
This is Israel, guys.
were carried out, allegedly, targeted by Iran. Now, there has been a larger wave of attacks on energy infrastructure in the Gulf in response to Israel and America's bombing campaign against Iran. And now there are serious concerns about how this expanding war will impact the world's economy. Now, Jake, before I give you some of the details, there have been some contradicting reports about who targeted Saudi Arabia.
Who pays taxes, who pays everything, who support America. I think they are American. Like, don't do it this thing, guys.
This is a bit shocking, and it's not confirmed yet. We'll give you the details, we'll give you the facts. But there's a report that the Israelis might have had Saudi Arabia as a false flag operation to draw them into the war against Iran. And let's see if that story gets confirmed. But let's give you the details first.
Yes, and remember, we're in the fog of war. So sometimes things appear pretty clear, and then it turns out you have more details later that go against that narrative. Now, before we get any further, again, it is important to remember we're in the fog of war, and there's all sorts of intentionally misleading propaganda out there. So it is not confirmed that Iran struck Saudi oil infrastructure. I want to be clear about that. So the Aramco oil refinery, if you're unfamiliar with it, houses.
Iran will attack Saudi petrol places, guys. It's not far away.
One of the Middle East's largest refineries, and actually has the capacity to refine 550,000 barrels per day. It serves as a critical export terminal for Saudi crude oil and is a key supplier of transport fuels like diesel for buyers in Europe. Now, according to the official Saudi press agency, there was a limited fire at the plant caused by debris from the interception of 2 drones that were targeting the facility. The question here is, whose drones were they? Right now, there were no injuries reported, thankfully, and the blaze was brought under control. However, Aramco quickly shut down the refinery as a precautionary measure. Now, Iran is actually denying that they were responsible for any strikes in Saudi Arabia specifically. Iran's deputy foreign minister told CNN the following: "We have already been in touch with our Saudi brothers and we have talked about this issue. Iran is not responsible for the attack against the oil installations in Saudi Arabia." On top of that, I think it's worth noting that a friend of the show and wonderful journalist Ryan Grimm wrote that Saudi Arabia will eventually be able to figure out where the missile came from that struck their oil field, because there were strikes on the oil field as well. And if it's confirmed.
Oh, it was random.
it was Israel, that'll have regional implications for a generation. Now, some of you might be wondering, Israel, who's blaming this on Israel? Well, interestingly,
I heard that someone said that this rocket was struck by the Israeli.
today on Tucker Carlson's show, he made a pretty bold claim, and it had to do with the arrests of Mossad agents in other Arab countries.
I think
I want you to listen to what he has
great.
to say here, and then we'll discuss, the likelihood of this. Take a look.
Israel wanted to hurt these countries. That's the point. Wanted to hurt these countries. Wanted to sow chaos and disorder because they are rivals of Israel. So it's probably hasn't been reported, but it's a fact that last night in Qatar and Saudi Arabia, authorities arrested Mossad agents.
Guys, for like 5 seconds silent for European who will be suffer for the gas price, guys. Yeah, it's like I'm with
committing
Europe.
bombings in those countries.
Because they are
That's weird. That doesn't make any sense. Why would the Israelis
think about that, guys? America like destroyed the Europe. Now they even can't get a gas from Russia. Now they can't get a petrol from Iran. Iran from Dubai or not Dubai. I think leave the Dubai side. Kuwait, Qatar, or Saudi. Oh my God! The plane, guys. We like solve the puzzle. That America want to destroy the Europe. Europe is fine. No, bro, Europe is not fine. After like 1 month, you will find out, bro. It's not like immediate. The things will go wild, but it will go wild, guys. It's like a baby step. You will find out in like after 1 month, maybe 2 weeks.
be committing bombing?
I think maybe America is trying to destroy the Europe, guys. Now it's like, it's clear, guys. They have stopped from like buying a US Russian gas. They can't buy a petrol now that we are not. Guys, we have toilets. That we are not.
Things
we have
in 2 Gulf countries, which are also being attacked by Iran. Aren't they on the same side?
What are you talking about the toilet?
No. Israel wants to hurt Iran
You are ignorant.
and Qatar and UAE and Saudi and Bahrain and Oman and Kuwait. And they've succeeded.
Now,
do you
Tucker's claim
live in Europe?
is that
if you
Israel
live in the
wants
Europe, you
the
will
United
be
States to have a bad relationship
Bro,
with
don't
these
think
Gulf
I'm
countries.
Indian,
now,
bro.
those Gulf countries, of course,
I have friends.
currently have our bases located within them. And so the idea is that eventually Israel is going to want the US to leave the Middle East entirely, considering the fact that they want to be the hegemon in the Middle East. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think
I think you have a less gaze. America has more gaze. That's why there's more shooting in the schools, guys. I don't want to talk about more about the gaze, guys. I can be bad.
There's good arguments to be made on both sides here. So let's dive into the nuance. So first off, on
guys, click
on attacking
on the
UAE,
link.
I don't get that at all because UAE is totally in the pocket of Israel. So like if they bother to attack them on top, I mean that is arrogance,
India is
on steroids. But what, like, so I just don't quite get it.
Let's go to the second video because he explains. It's 37 seconds because he explains why, right?
Okay, and then but I do want to get to something that backs up what he's saying.
Yep.
But okay, let's watch.
Take a look.
The final thing you'd have to do is get the US out of the Middle East. Why would you want the United States out? Well, because the United States, while not doing a very good job of constraining Israel, has been issuing requests in any case to Israel for a long time. And that's very annoying. Imagine if we were getting the same kind of communiques from, I don't know, Ottawa and they were like, you can't do this, you can't do that, we'd say, buzz off at a certain point. Back off, Canada. We're doing what we want. We're a great power. So you have to get the United States out.
So that's the claim that he's made.
And also, sorry, Canadians, if anyone is like from Canada, guys, you are also doomed. USA will destroy you because we need resources. We have your diamonds and you aren't having them back.
Making thoughts.
Well, I mean, look, at least there's a little bit
No,
of
I'm not
there
Indian.
because
the diamond.
Greater Israel does include a lot of the Gulf. So
Turkey.
And so that's what I was going to get to is that, like, it looks like they're going for Greater Israel now, right? And so almost all the Middle Eastern countries' defenses have been obliterated. Now, in this particular war, they came in, the US did, saying, oh, the nukes that don't exist at all, right? Or regime change, et cetera. But now we're on to roadside bombs, and we have to destroy their navy. We have to destroy every single ballistic missile, maybe every handgun. I mean, like, it's absurd. Why? Because Israel needs them neutered.
Don't forget, Noble Mobile saving you a ton of money. So a lot of people
You
are signing up
still
now
the Indian,
and beginning to realize,
Indian
what the
diamond.
hell? Why am I paying so much to Verizon and
Why did you
AT&T? So your
stole the
bill's
diamond?
only
USA
$50 a month,
goes,
but it can actually be less because they give you money back if you don't
it's
use your
private,
data.
so
So if
that's
you're
why
paying
it's
more
on.
than $50, there's no reason to
Oh
not
my
switch.
God.
It's crazy not to switch.
You are
because
right, bro.
same phone, same number, same contacts, literally nothing changes. TYT.com/switch. TYT.com.
Come on, I don't want to see advertisement.
Can't get past how mental that is. It's a NATO country, okay? And now that's going up north, but then they also have to go south for Greater Israel, and that's a lot of the Gulf. So, well, UAE is the biggest suckers in the world. They think that they handed over their cybersecurity to Israel, a bunch of morons. So Israel owns them, and they can do anything they want to UAE. Those idiots trust them. Oh no, they're on our side. Israel isn't on anyone's side but Israel. Okay, so now come back around to what is a piece of evidence that supports this theory. Well, the Iranians took credit for all the other attacks, right? On Kuwait, Bahrain, Oman, and Qatar. There was a rumor out that maybe Israel did Qatar too. And in fact, there Tucker mentions that they might have caught Mossad agents in Qatar, right?
But bro, sorry. Like now I remember in Afghanistan, it was not just USA, it was the whole Europe. Don't blame on USA. It was not alone USA. Also, European were there. The whole NATO was there, guys.
No,
Don't
for
blame
the
on
being,
just
Iran
USA.
has claimed it.
Yeah, we know USA is bad,
but that's interesting because that's a juxtaposition to
USA
Iran going,
bad,
what, Saudi Arabia? We didn't attack Saudi Arabia, because they're bragging about all the other attacks. They're saying, oh, hell yeah, we hit them, and see if you're safe.
Bro, America has a great plan. How to destroy the Europe. How many
Now UAE, when they hit Dubai, but on Saudi Arabia, they're like, what are you talking about? We didn't do that at all.
There were so many
right?
guys.
So that's a big
do a
difference
research,
there.
you will
That's what
find
makes
so
me
many.
think maybe there's something to that. In terms of, did they catch Mossad or not in those countries?
Just America was on
presumably
the
we're gonna
front
find
line.
out, right? I mean, we might not
America was not
bury the
hiding
news,
it.
etc.
But
But if
Europe
we
was
find out,
hiding.
then they did,
Behind
right?
that.
But for now, that's
Behind
not a good enough
Africa.
source for me to say it definitively happened, right? So I come back to, I don't know who hit Saudi Arabia, but now Israel is on the table. Yes.
And Cenk, just to bolster what you say about the Iranians taking ownership of some of the other attacks they've made, I want to go to C2 here. So this is Iranian foreign minister on CNN, I believe, talking about how they did in fact attack and bomb US bases in some of these Gulf countries. Take a look.
Sir, if that's a red line for you, why is attacking US military bases abroad justified?
But because they are attacking us. They are U.S. military, installations, facilities, bases who are attacking us. We are under attack. Why don't you, recognize this fact? We are under the attack by U.S. forces in the region. So we have every right to defend ourselves. And how to defend ourselves? We attacked, the U.S. bases. This is obvious. This is a very simple fact And I hope that, and I'm sure that people would understand that. We are not the one who attacked Americans. We are only defending ourselves.
So there you have it. It's not like they're shy when it comes to taking responsibility for some of the attacks.
Yeah, and there was actually another important clue in there. But first, what an absurd question.
I know. And by the way, that was NBC for our audio listeners, not CNN.
They're like, now we've attacked your country. We've killed your top.
Like, we attack your country. We will give up places. A country that is like fighting Iran. Like I'm talking about the bases. They are in the Qatar, in the Saudi, and in UAE. Best facts, USA is
49 leaders. We've bombed hospitals and elementary schools. But you have the temerity to attack us back? Yeah, that's kind of how war works. Like, I can't believe she even asked that question.
I'm glad she did, though. I'm glad she did.
Okay, so now here's the clue buried in there. He said, yeah, of course we attacked the US bases in retaliation. And every single one of these attacks that Iran is taking credit for is against the US base or US troops that had moved. Like in one case, they'd moved to a hotel and they hit the hotel, right? None of them are against oil fields. So.
Faith or evil? No, I think we will watch it tomorrow. This is good. Oil leverage, escalation rise, and the politics of war.
Well, everyone, welcome to Office Hours. Here we are. We're actually back in our normal recording environment here. So this is it's nice to sit down and do this kind of with a little more planning. There's a lot going on. There's a lot we're going to talk about. First, let's start with hey, Roy.
Hi, Jeremy.
How are you doing? Actually, I want to tell a story real quick. I woke up Saturday morning with like, I don't know, a dozen or more messages from you, an email from you on multiple emails. You messaged my wife to make sure that I got your other messages. And the first thing I did was just go to the news because I already knew what was going on because you've messaged me so many times. And then I just called you and the energy, because you're still in Abu Dhabi, and the energy that you, and I could hear your wife and kids in the background, it reminded me so much of, it sounds weird, but you know, tornado warnings here in Texas, where it's just like, instead of everyone taking shelter, which is like a small percentage of people when they get tornado warning, they go and take shelter, they actually just run to the windows to see where's the tornado. And that's literally what you guys were doing. You're like looking outside to see, you know, the anti-missile barrages taking off and taking out these missiles, which is a just crazy thing. I'm worried on the phone, like, are you guys okay? And you were just sounded like you were having such a good time. So
sorry, guys. This is
we were in a hotel with these big double doors on a balcony, and they had this big sofa. So we just rotated the sofa around, sat half in the balcony and half of us on the sofa, and watched the show.
I'm coming.
So how is it now that you're back home? Are you seeing anything different? Or what's going on around you now?
So let me actually just start by saying I am an adrenaline junkie. Just to get that out of the way right off the bat. I love adrenaline. But I had low anxiety. Like, I'm not going to risk my children. I don't mind risking myself. In part because I had a lot of confidence in the United Arab Emirates Defense Force and their ability to manage the crisis. So that's the reason why I was so cavalier hanging out and watching. And I am really blown away by how successful the UAE has been in preventing most of the damage. I think it was Khalij Times today reported that it was over 600.
Yeah, I also believe it. No,
drones and missiles have been fired at the UAE.
And now
unfortunately, people have died: a Nepali, Bangladeshi, and a Pakistani. But you know, it's one a day, and when you compare that to like the murder rate in Texas, which is 6 a day, and then remember that Texas is like 2.5 times bigger than UAE. you end up with it's still safer to be in the UAE than it is to live in Texas. But Texas is literally 2.34 times more deadly than the UAE in a crisis, a war crisis. I think 4 people were murdered in the UAE last year, and 2,000 people were murdered in Texas last year. UAE is 89% immigrant, so it's not an immigrant problem. Texas, by the way, fun stat, is 18% immigrant, documented and undocumented. 10% of the murders were committed by that 18%. So if you wanted to lower the murder rate in Texas, you'd get rid of the non-immigrants. So just a jab at all you immigrant haters. You're the problem, just for the record. As a non-immigrant myself, right? I just wanted to point out the hypocrisy.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this. I don't know enough about it, but there was a shooting in Austin last night on 6th Street.
6th Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which Ted Cruz is saying it was an Iranian sleeper cell. I'm just now looking at this. I'm pretty sure it was I don't know. I haven't looked into this at all. I just know it happened.
I think he was Senegalese, the guy who did it. That's my understanding.
Also, there was a shooting in Fort Worth, which is close to where I am, and just like it happens a lot in Fort Worth. Just people in the parking lot having a dispute. So I think I don't know. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. So in my mind, that's the other thing that I factored in. I'm still on the balcony with rockets flying around. I'm still safer than living in Texas, and part of the calculation for me. But
it's
also
really reassuring to me and my family. Thank you.
Yeah. Move. Get out of that place. Why are you still there?
It's a fair point. You've been trying to get me to move for a long time now. I hear you. I appreciate you.
I guess we have to pick our poison, right? You get to choose what kind of poison you have.
You have to image say political.
Actually, let me rephrase it. A tiny percentage of the world's population gets to choose what kind of poison they have. Everybody else is just screwed.
We call that privilege. And when we get to pick our poison, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When we're just poisoned and we get to have, try and survive, that's lack of privilege, right?
And speaking of poison and privilege, I'm baffled by all the people in the U.S. who were super rich, who voted for Trump, then didn't like it, and then moved to Dubai, and then didn't like it when rockets started landing because that Trump triggered a stupid war, and now they're trying to figure out how to leave.
Whoa. Trump didn't start this war, Roy. It started 47 years ago, and he's just finishing it now.
Yeah, I can't believe the 1984 nonsense that spews out of people's mouths. Like, I feel like it's not just 1984, like Germany in 1933 went and I think they just got a prisoner from their prison, put him in a Polish uniform, shot him to death, and then threw his body in Germany next to the border crossing with Poland and said Poland attacked us. And there were a lot of moronic Germans who went, oh my God, Poland has attacked us, and drank the Kool-Aid. And the next thing you know, 7 million Germans later are dead. And then 7 million died during the peace period. So 14 million, 20% of the German population is dead. 65 million people are dead around the world just because people were willing to believe the lies that are told to them. It's not a good habit to be in.
No, it's not. I think
American soldiers have a more IQ
love
than
to
the
believe
Israelis.
lies that we think might be true, or that we want to be true, or we're afraid they might be true. Is that what I actually
I think
say?
the most dumbest
old book series I read forever ago.
Army is
I won't get into it. It's called The Wizard's First Rule, and it's not even like a magic thing. It's just like it's really easy to lie to people because people just want to believe lies.
We do. Yeah.
So, yeah. So what I said earlier about the 47 years Iran started the war, that was an official statement from the Secretary of the Department of War.
What country are you
Pete
from?
Hegseth.
I'm from Earth, bro.
He said a lot of other things. I haven't gone into the whole conference, but it's just a bunch of a political reframing because the MAGA didn't want any new foreign wars, and now it's not a new war. It's not a new war, and it's working. It's working for his base.
At least some of his base. I think there's a portion
Sure.
of his base that are not happy about it.
I met okay.
That reminds me of another Pete Hegseth story that
Lose
just happened.
Oh, he's from Europe, bro.
was the
Clearly,
company
he's from Europe.
Do you know this story? Maybe you
Or
know
maybe
better
he
than I
loves
do, so
Europe.
jump
He's an
in.
Indian.
No, so Anthropic is an AI company, and
Because
Hegseth was
the fake
was
Indians are too
basically
many,
telling
guys,
all AI
nowadays.
companies that were that have contracts with Department of War. And it's weird to say Department of War, although I will say they did follow your advice on renaming it back to Department of War. Because that was
I have
a
been
big
saying
push
that
here.
for years. Don't be a hypocrite.
But Anthropic was the only one of these AI companies that said, no,
Yeah,
we're not
he
gonna
can
take
be a
off our
Europe-
restrictions
UK.
that you can do
Yeah.
whatever you want with AI. That seems not a safe way to regulate
UK
how
is
AI
a
is being
country.
developed. And so
English,
Hegseth just
okay,
cut ties
English.
with them.
British.
And it's an interesting story just because most of them didn't.
I think
And so now
most-
we have all of this unregulated
country
AI
has so many
development,
names.
which is kind of worrisome and problematic because it's tied to the. Do we call it DOW now? Is it still DOD?
Yes. Officially, it is still the Department of Defense. There's never
Okay.
actually been an official name change.
Okay, good.
Trump
Guys,
has
why
ordered that the
British
Department
need
of
3
Defense
names?
call
That's
itself
so
the Department
foolish
of
thing
War.
to do.
Got it.
So, yeah.
Okay, I'm
So
gonna say
it's-
DOD because
Yeah.
I was a part of the DOD for 6 years as being in the Air Force. And I'm still
When his
used
sixth
to that.
term is over, it'll switch back to DOD. When will that be? How many more years left?
He's pretty old.
I believe they are called your creator.
So no, don't worry. They'll just download his personality into
I've
AI.
noted.
And he'll just
but
keep
not
going.
Anthropic.
No, not Anthropic. Pete Hegseth wrote a really violent, nasty letter to Anthropic, threatening them and saying that if anybody ever does business with them, he will not allow the government to do business with that company. Like, this wasn't just you're fired. This is we will destroy you. And it was two things, right? One of them was Anthropic had a thing where if you use the AI for targeting purposes, a human had to come in and okay it. So the AI wasn't the final judge. And I don't remember what the other one was. It was just another thing like that, like a safeguard thing. And it set off the Trump guys. It reminds me of what happened when the United States conquered Venezuela. Obviously that didn't happen, but in Trump's mind it did, to the point where he made a fake Wikipedia entry that showed that he's the president of Venezuela.
I think Americans are also
They have
Europeans.
that conference where they're talking, and then all of a sudden, randomly, Trump gets up and walks over to the window and says, "This is where the ballroom will be." And you're like, "We're talking about your stupid ballroom? Aren't you basically committing a war crime or a
This
crime?
is more
An
than-
illegal kidnapping of a world leader?" Like, I don't think people have thought this through. If the United States can willy-nilly just go kidnap and murder anybody they want to, what's to stop other countries from assassinating U.S. presidents?
That's true, guys.
There's
Like,
no,
we can't go.
There's no rules now. We've abandoned rules. I mean, when Kennedy was assassinated, the United States government passed a law telling the government stop assassinating people. Right? We killed President Diem of Vietnam, and then next thing you know, President Kennedy's dead, and we went, okay, maybe we shouldn't keep doing this. This is a bad tradition to be in. But anyway, so they're at this meeting, and doddering old fool is walking to the window to look out at the ballroom, and ExxonMobil becomes the voice of reason in the room, and they're like, we have a problem with the idea that we now have access to Venezuelan oil fields because you did a coup d'etat and overthrew the government, and now suddenly you're claiming those oil fields. That there's no process here. And he's like, that's it. We're not letting ExxonMobil do anything in Venezuela. We're cutting them out. And so everything is vindictive, vengeful. You either do it my way or you're gone. That he doesn't want to hear anybody's protests. This is. I'm not sure how this is different than Kim Jong-un at that point, or Putin.
Right. I mean, he has been practicing stretching his authoritarian legs for a while now, and he's been quite successful at it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the scary thing. I mean, we joke about his third term coming up here, but you asked me when I know. Maybe I'm joking because I don't want to take it seriously yet. But I told you at least he'll be done after 2 terms, and you said, Willie, what's stopping him from running for a 3rd term? And I didn't have an answer.
I mean, what's the process? So he runs for a 3rd term. The Republican Party, in a really weird move in 2020, decided in most of the states, not all of the states, to basically change their policy that if the sitting president runs for office, nobody can officially run against them in that state for the primary. So then, because that's the majority of Republican parties, because for people who don't know, each state has its own Republican Party. Right? There's the Republican Party of Texas is not the same thing as the Republican Party of Vermont. They are separate entities. And so all the different Republican parties have effectively made it so that, not all of them, but the majority of them, nobody can actually run against him. So there's no way for the Republicans to stop him from running for a 3rd term. So he runs for a 3rd term, and then what? You sue in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will rule that there's no standing because you have to be harmed. Oh, something just exploded. You have to be harmed. One of the cool things is my door is just slightly loose. So if the explosion is too far away, the pressure is just enough to rattle the door. So I can tell. There's another one. I just distracted there's quite a few right now, actually.
They sound like they're a little bit farther away.
You can hear it?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It just sounds like a car door shutting somewhere.
Yeah. So then, okay, if you don't have standing, you can't sue. You can't take this to the Supreme Court. And so then what? So then he has to win. Then you can sue. And then once he's won, the Supreme Court's going to very simply rule, yes, you are right. He could not run for a 3rd term, but he did and he already won. It seems really weird to overturn the will of the people. Done. He's got a 3rd term. It doesn't matter what the Constitution says. He doesn't listen to the law. He doesn't know what the Constitution says to begin with. His people don't know. Pam Bondi was asked, do you know what habeas corpus was? And she said, it's the right of the president to arrest people. And you're like, oh my God, you're the top lawmaker in the country and you don't know the single most important legal concept in the United States. Habeas corpus is the only right in the United States Constitution's original version, right? The other rights are the first 10 amendments. They were amended onto the Constitution. Habeas corpus is in the original document because it was the one right everybody understood was critical for all the other rights to work. It's the one right that if it isn't in place, kills all the other rights.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, anyway, it's bad.
Since we're on the, talking about Trump and U.S. politics as it pertains to the current war in Iran, we're in day 3 now, and we're already seeing contradicting messaging from Trump, where he has agreed to talks with Iran, but he's also saying this is going to be a few weeks longer. He's also said that it's unfortunate that U.S. service members have died. There will be more. So what is your take on his messaging and what the U.S. stance is going forward here?
Yeah, I mean, basically he got up in front of the country and said, some service members are going to die. I'm happy to make that sacrifice. And I've always thought it was interesting that we now live in an era where the leaders don't have to risk their lives, right? If this was 1,000 years ago, and you know, he was the king of Scotland. He would need to be right up there. Sorry, he would have to be right there with his men, in armor, on a horse, with a sword in his hand, fighting with them. And we now live in an era where generals are literally in a different country, sitting behind a laptop with a mouse, you know, moving the soldiers around on a screen. General Mattis, of course, was a big exception to that. One of the reasons why he's so popular with the United States Marine Corps, because he wasn't that guy. He was there with his men, but as a general rule, his men and women, as a general rule, we have cowardice leadership that are willing to sacrifice other people without any actual risk to themselves. And I'm just always shocked by the kind of messaging they do. Like, yeah, I'm happy to let you die for my weird cause. So, okay, yesterday when I was talking with Dr. Benafsha, one of the things that I kept sort of trying to bring forward was, first of all, there's anybody who believes that Israel and the United States are in this for the Iranian people is beyond naive. And of course, her response was, yeah, of course. We're hoping to use the United States to liberate Iran, which I totally get, right? Iran needs liberating. This regime has been toxic since 1979. It has ruined Iran. It has damaged the region. It has made the world an unpleasant place. Let's get rid of them. Hitler invented the Autobahn. Everybody in Germany loves the Autobahn. Hitler invented Volkswagen. It's a great car company. I believe it's the largest car company on the planet. Like, that's Hitler's legacy. Evil people can do good things, right? Good people can't do evil things. That makes them evil. So just for the record, for those of you who wondered, like, does it work both ways? No. If you do evil things, you are evil. Done. End the conversation. Stop having...
Just a repetition of the 12-day war. This is an existential war of survival. And the stakes are as high as they can be. There will only be one winner in this war. And as I look at things right now, Iran looks as though it's on the inside track to win this war. This means that the United States will be defeated, humiliated, and compelled to retreat from the Middle East. Israel will be left alone, and the Gulf Arab states will have to purge their soil of American military bases. Now, people can sit here and say that's pie in the sky, but I dare you to contradict me on anything I just said. If you're the emir of any of the Gulf Arab states and you have been promised a guarantee of American security, and you're watching your cities and your docks and your airports go up in flames and there's nothing the United States can do to stop it, prove me wrong. If you're the emir of Bahrain, watching the Shia population rise up in the streets threatening to overthrow you, prove me wrong. If you are the king of Saudi Arabia, looking at your eastern oil fields ablaze, prove me wrong. If you are the emir of Qatar, looking at your liquid natural gas fields, unable to produce, prove me wrong. If you're an energy producer in the Middle East, unable to ship your energy out of the Strait of Hormuz, prove me wrong. If you're Israel, watching your cities get pummeled every day, every hour, prove me wrong. And look at Iran. They lost the Imam, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and all that did is strengthen them. There aren't people in the streets demanding the overthrow of the government. The Iranian people are rallying around their nation.
Yeah, he is good.
And the Iranians have shown that they are more prepared for this war than anybody. So prove me wrong.
I have
listened
to it before.
Position to take.
It's not my first time to
hear. It's a fact-based position. It's based upon years of geopolitical analysis and military analysis. Unless something fundamentally changes in the way this war is being prosecuted, the United States and its allies will run out of ammunition in a few weeks' time. Iran will not run out of ammunition. Prove me wrong.
Can you tell us a little bit about the ammunition stock, there are reports about 3,000 to 8,000 missiles for Iran. Analysts are also saying that Iranian drones in particular, but also missiles, are cheaper to produce. They're quicker to produce as in comparison to US
in these
intercepting
times,
ballistic
wars are
missiles, and
so
radar
weird,
systems,
guys.
which are also
Like we
costlier. So if you
know
could
one nuke
give
can
us a better
destroy
sense of
one city,
the ammunition
and they have like
stockpiles and the military
in hundreds,
strength of both
hundreds,
sides.
like 100
Well,
nukes.
first of all, you need to understand that the Iranians have been preparing for
Like,
this conflict for
I was
years. So we're not
listening to
just talking
him back
about
10 years
the need to
ago
produce.
when
In
I
fact,
was
I don't think
15.
the
Oh
Iranians
my
are
God.
producing anything right
Oh,
now.
that's why you
I
are
think
like,
that their
you know
production
these things.
capabilities have been evacuated from the facilities
Before
and
then,
hidden away because they
during
recognize the
Syria war.
inevitability of the physical destruction of these
What?
facilities. But you can always pour new concrete. You can't replace the
And
equipment.
try to read.
So if the equipment is safely hidden away, the United States and Israel will be bombing any empty facilities.
Yeah, like
But
hearing
this
is
means
good,
that
but
Iran is not
reading
relying
is very
on,
good. We have to read.
weapons that have yet to be produced. They've already produced them, and they've already stockpiled them, and they've already factored in attrition. They have produced these, the Shahid series drones, which surprisingly are being very effective against targets everywhere. They've produced missiles, advanced missiles. They have stockpiles of older missiles, and they have a strategy on how to employ these missiles to maximum benefit. The Iranians have already built this stuff, so it's a sunk cost. It's done. But it didn't bankrupt them to do it, by the way. The United States, who is the premier supplier of interceptors, to give you an example, the United Arab Emirates apparently bought $2 billion worth of missile interceptors, and they're out. Done, finished.
Every
Zip.
American needs
And
to
who
think
replaces
like
it? There's
you.
no production line
So
right now functioning to replace
they
it.
need to
The
wake
United
up.
States hasn't gone into war production mode. We've already strained the entire system,
They all
supplying
need to
defense
wake up.
systems to Ukraine. And now the Middle East is just shot through its load. And there's nothing left to replace it.
I think it's still there in the time.
This is reality. The
Everybody
United
needs
States
to wake
itself
up.
has, stripped bare other theaters. I mean, when the president has to talk about we have plenty of ammunition all around the world, what he's saying is so sad, too bad, South Korea and Japan, we're taking the missiles meant to defend you. Too bad, Taiwan, those missiles are gone too. And Europe, sorry, we're taking those missiles as well. So this is the reality. Iran fires a drone that costs $20,000 to produce, and we shoot it down with 3 interceptor missiles that cost $3 to $4 million each to produce. I'm not a genius. I'm just a simple Marine. I have trouble balancing my own checkbook at home, but that's a cost equation that isn't going to be sustainable. And this is the fact. But the most important thing to point out is that Iran has prepared for this war. It's already built all the weapons it's going to be using. The United States did not prepare for this war. In fact, the United States was warned off by both Israel and Saudi Arabia in January not to start this war unless you can finish it and guarantee an outcome. But we started the war nonetheless. It's a regime change war designed to bring down the government of the
No, I don't think it's all about the regime change, guys. It's not all about the regime change. It's all about the make the Israel great, guys. It's all about. It's like they are fooling us. They are fooling us. We have to wake up, guys. It's not. America don't want to fight, guys. They literally don't want to fight. Because of the one dude that have a more like authority and he's like compromised. I'm talking about the Trump. He's compromised, guys. He's not thinking about he's not thinking for the America, guys, right now.
the Islamic Republic of Iran.
He's just trying to save his ass, guy, right now.
And as we saw, our dreams of what decapitation constitutes nothing, because the planners seem to believe that Iran functioned as a dictatorship of one. Ali Khamenei was it, and when you remove the supreme leader, the system goes away. which means they have never read the Constitution of Iran and they have no respect for Iran as a constitutional republic. Instead of collapsing, Iran immediately
All
went the
the
direction that the
Muslim country must
Constitution
unite against
mandates.
Israel and
The
America.
president, the head of judiciary, and a jurist appointed by the Assembly of Experts formed an emergency committee.
Sorry, there is no Muslim country, bro. There's
Operate
no
as the
Muslim
supreme
country.
leader until which time the Assembly of Experts picks
They
a
just
new
live.
supreme
Muslims live there.
jurist. So, and it looks like by Wednesday of this week there will be a new supreme leader, and the country, the people have rallied around the republic. So not only has there been no
Saudi Arabia has destroyed
but the
Yemen,
government is
and
stronger
Qatar
now than ever
has
before,
did something
which
more
means that
bad
the
stuff and other
major
things.
objective of bringing about the end of the Iranian regime is failed. In fact, it failed the very first
Muslims
missiles
get
that
our
hit
soldier out of the
Tehran.
Middle
The
East
first
and
6
entire
missiles that
world.
hit killed Ali Khamenei, his 14-month-old
Yeah, they will
granddaughter,
be out
and
of
some other
the
people.
Middle East because of the Israel.
We tend to say that means we won this war.
Israel also
It
wanted
means we lost
America
this
need to leave the
because we
Middle
didn't
East.
achieve what we wanted to achieve. We achieved the exact opposite.
They want to capture the
If
Muslim
this
population. I
situation
mean,
is
okay,
so
that's
revealing
correct.
on just
No
the
matter
third
if
days,
their
I
leader
wonder what
terrorists.
led the U.S. to attack on the first place. Was it total
American armies will
misunderstanding
be
about
out of the
the
Middle
layered
East,
structure of
but
Iranian
not
society
because of the
and
Muslims. They
administration
will
and
be out of
how
the
it functions,
because of the
assuming
Israel.
that a decapitation of one leader would lead to some kind of uprising and regime change, quote unquote, or is it the hubris of U.S. generals who don't who overestimate their strength, or is it intelligence failure? What is it that led to this attack if just on the third day everything is so revealing?
Well, I mean, what we know is that there is an unprecedented level of ignorance in the senior leadership of the United States about Iran, about what Iran is, who the Iranians are, what the Islamic Republic is, what the role Islam plays in
They
Iranian
want
society.
success in their
When you have
empire.
Jared Kushner,
They will,
50%
bro.
of the
They
negotiating
will.
team,
They
meeting
are
with
going to create an empire,
the
bro.
Iranian diaspora.
It's true, but it's hard. It's true. They will. No one is going to stop them. All Christian and Muslims need to unite, guys. It's not like one Muslims need to unite. I think Christian also need to unite. Because our mindset are same a little bit. I'm back.
In the United States to create a committee to pick the next leader of Iran while he's negotiating with the Iranians, by the way, about resolving the nuclear program, which sort of proved at the time that we weren't serious about negotiations, but that's a different issue. But the fact that we're turning to the diaspora for guidance on what the future of Iran will look like means we don't understand anything, because the diaspora is composed of, people who are either the descendants of or the actual people who fled Iran in the late 1970s when the Shah of Iran, Reza Shah Pahlavi, was removed from.
Yes, Christians are also going to unite against Israel. I hear what you are saying, but I guess we will wait and see. Yeah, we have to see.
Power by the Islamic Revolution. And these people know nothing of Iran. They have no support in Iran, and yet we're listening to them and believing them because we have fallen victim to our own delusional ignorance of Iran. We hate the Islamic Republic so much that we allow ourselves to ignore the fact that it is the single most effective functioning democracy in the Middle East. I'll say that one more time so the audience really understands what I'm saying. The single most effective functioning democracy in the Middle East is the Islamic Republic of Iran. And if you don't acknowledge that and recognize that, then, you know, I've always said you can't solve a problem unless you first accurately define the problem. And if we're defining the problem of Iran as a dictatorship of one, to eliminate the supreme leader means the collapse of the regime, we don't have a solution to the problem because we've defined it inaccurately. So there is this ignorance. Now, that ignorance should be overcome by an intelligence community whose job it is to accurately inform leadership. But our intelligence community has become permanently crippled by the politicization of the intelligence process. We have seen this cancer infect the intelligence community back in the lead up to the Iraq war during the decade of the 90s as we manufactured a case for sustainment of economic sanctions against Iraq based upon weapons of mass destruction. And we failed to acknowledge the role played by the United Nations weapons inspectors, of whom I was a member, to achieve the disarmament of Iraq. Instead, we pretended that Iraq reconstituted a weapons capability and was posing a threat, and we went to war. The intelligence community, instead of telling their bosses what he or she needed to hear, the truth, they told them what they want to hear. That's not your job as an intelligence officer. And we have not, the intelligence community has been infected with this disease ever since, the disease of politicization. So now we have an American president who very much wants to go to war against Iran, looking for any justification and looking for support for the fundamentally flawed theories that that underpin this military campaign. And the intelligence community, instead of telling him the truth, lies to him. You saw what happened when Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, tried to tell the truth about Iran's nuclear program, testifying before Congress, speaking the truth. But when the president was confronted by this, he said, she's wrong. I get my information from somebody else. Who? That's your director of national intelligence. There's no one else, no one higher than her, which means he's getting his information from Israel. So there's the other problem. Israel is fundamentally corrupting the policy-making processes here in the United States. Lastly, you mentioned the generals. Here I'm going to, push back. American military men are professionals. You're talking to one. Okay? When I went to war, I kicked your ass because I was better than you. I was better than you because I was professional, because I was prepared, because I studied you. I studied me. I knew my weaknesses. I knew my strengths. I knew your weaknesses. And I would do everything I can to close with and destroy you through firepower and maneuver. And if I couldn't accomplish the mission, I was honest enough to tell my boss, I can't do that with the resources available. Because my job wasn't to make policy. My job was to execute a military plan of action. And the generals today have told this president that they cannot accomplish this mission the way he wants it done, on the time frame he wants and with the objectives that he wants. They have straight up said, we don't have the resources to do this. The director of the Joint Chiefs of Staff was fired because he insisted on this. As we speak, there's apparently a revolt of generals taking place in the Pentagon. And there may be mass resignations, according to some news resources, because these people are saying, we are trying to explain to you, Mr. President, that what you want to be accomplished, what your Secretary of War is up there, proselytizing as religious dogma, isn't going to happen. Just because Pete Hegseth says it so doesn't make it so. There is a harsh reality here. And we don't have the resources to accomplish what you want to accomplish in the time frame it needs to be accomplished. So I don't blame the military. The military has to obey lawful orders. Even if you tell the president we can't do this, if the president says do it, then you must do it unless it's unconstitutional. And while there is no legal framework under international law to carry out this war, because Congress has punted on its constitutional responsibilities when it comes to declaration of war, the president has assumed unilateral executive authority that the Supreme Court has not contradicted, and the generals must obey the lawful order they're given, even if they know by obeying it, they're going to lose the war.
given this ignorance at the level of political class and given the politicization of the top brass, including intelligence community and so on, and the lack of filtering up, let's say, information coming out of generals and military to the political class. And I'll add, given Iran has officially stated that it is not willing to negotiate at this stage because it wants to avenge revenge. What could be a way out if you are within the US political class? Would you double down and go down this path? Because Pete Hegseth and General Dan Kane said that no, there are no boots on Iran at this stage, but all options are open. What do you make sense of what could be a way out for them, or the path that they would follow?
All options are open. I would remind both of those gentlemen that, you know, Pete Hegseth just cracks me up, Secretary of War, although that's not a lawful term. He's a Secretary of Defense. He, in his embarrassing speech to 800 generals and admirals last October, I believe, in Quantico, Virginia, he said that his ideal warrior was a captain in 1993 or a staff sergeant in 1993. And the reason why is that to get to be a captain in 1993, you enlisted you joined in the early 1980s, mid 1980s, and you went through training in a military that was designed to win wars. And the same thing with the staff sergeant, the E6. You were there as a troop supporter. Pete Hegseth was describing me because I'm that person. That's my rank in the time frame that I was in. That's my experience base.
Like
and
literally
so as
you.
the person,
Literally
pardon?
you.
Literally me. And I will remind Pete Hegseth that unlike I have won a war. He hasn't. He's lost two. He's about to lose a third one. But so I am the epitome of the professional standard that Hegseth is setting out there. And so what I'm going to be, telling him is that you don't win wars by bluster and by words. You win it by being prepared. Repeat your question, because I got so caught up in 1993 that I forgot it. Just remind me of what your question was.
The way out for
the way
them.
out, an off ramp. The off ramp is always victory.
Okay, guys, this video will be continued tomorrow. Oh, I'm not feeling well, guys. Tomorrow I will be fine. Then we will continue this live stream. Yeah, we will watch it tomorrow. Okay, guys. See you back. Okay, guys.